40 years ago, we opened our doors with one mission in mind.
We'll be right back with the top 10 songs of 1983.
To sell quality American-made vehicles at a fair price.
You have arrived.
And we've loved every minute of the ride. Celebrating 40 years of Two Rivers Ford.
Six o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The Tennessee Titans made 6 selections in the 2023 NFL Draft, including first-round offensive lineman Peter Skoronski, second-round quarterback Will Levis, and third-round running back Tajay Spears. Titans general manager Rand Carthon is set to join Ramon, Kayla, and Will coming up at 7:20 this morning. The Braves and Mets were postponed for a second straight day. They are set to play a doubleheader beginning at 11:10 this morning. A historic upset in the NHL last night. The Florida Panthers, a team that Ramon Foster didn't know even existed, defeated the Boston Bruins 4-3 in overtime of Game 7 to eliminate the Bruins, who had the most successful regular season in league history. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Monday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will is off and running, and we got a big show to start off a new month. It's powered, as always, by our friends at All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Jonathan Schaefer behind the glass.
The best producer in the world.
Will Levis is a Tennessee Titan, and we're ready to talk about it. My name is Will Bowling. Today on the show, Mike Tanier of Football Outsiders at 8:20, but Rand Carthon's first interview after his first draft as the Tennessee Titans general manager happens right here at 7:20. A little bit to discuss with the GM this morning, guys.
Just a little.
Just a little bit.
Just a teeny bit.
That's a little bit, man. My headphones are messed up over here, man. I couldn't figure out. I guess the master volume was down.
Between the lights, the headphones,
the
we're
master
just all over.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Lights are good on this end.
Yeah, you're good on your end. What a time to be alive, man. What a time. Will. Good vibes, baby. Good vibes, man.
Are there good vibes
there
today?
There will be.
In
there
Nashville?
will be.
Are you going to be doing your impression today?
I ain't got time for that. We got to get to the business today,
This is a business conversation with
No,
Will.
you're still doing the impression.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'll
At the
sneak it
very
in
end.
somewhere.
At the very end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's heard it.
They might want me
I think he's
first.
heard the impression.
I feel like that's the case, too,
I
Kayla.
really do.
I feel like that's the case. But what was that? Friday, I'm going to dinner.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden, I'm like, no. Oh, they made a move up? Didn't expect this one. Did not expect this one, man.
We talked about it Friday.
We did.
We certainly talked about
Sure
it.
did.
But I believe we all went with a wide receiver or tight end in round 2.
By the way, Michael
Every single one of
Mayer
us.
not going to later.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what was going on there,
Notre
man.
Dame tight end.
Notre Dame tight end. That was kind of shocking. I wasn't expecting the Titans move up to the second pick in the second round, though.
I legitimately did think it was for a wide receiver or a tight end that they coveted.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then when you saw how excited the draft room was, high-fiving each other, the worst-case scenario began to be a reality. And that worst-case scenario at the time was Will Levis becoming a Tennessee Titan, which he is now.
That's not worse. To you, it is.
In
To
that
you,
moment,
it is.
in that moment, that was the worst-case scenario for a lot of people.
Our group text was on fire.
on
I logged off.
Fire.
He did log off. He said
I had
he
too much
logged
work
it
to
off.
do.
We'll blame it on your work. Will.
I
We'll
was,
blame
no,
it.
we will blame it on my work because I got. I'm not going to go into details. Nobody cares. But I worked a 20-hour day on Friday. That's why.
Oh, wow. By the way, great call, too, man.
Thank you.
I heard.
Yeah, look at you getting on
We
the
did.
Twitter
Yeah.
sphere.
Essentially, what happened from my perspective was we didn't get the final list of who is competing in this broadcast until like 8 p.m. on Friday night. So I'm sitting here like trying to catch up on work that probably should have been done the day before.
Yeah.
But it was no way to do it. And I'm getting texts from people. I'm canceling my tickets. I'm cheering for the Panthers. I had a friend become a Panthers fan. I had a friend become a Texans fan over the weekend. That one doesn't make much sense considering we came from Houston. I had to either silence or leave a lot of group texts when Will Levis became a Tennessee Titan.
Them?
No, I didn't leave any, but I left them for the evening.
Yeah. Oh,
You muted
okay.
him, or
I
did you
usually
go
don't
back
put
to
my
him?
phone on work mode very much, which silences all calls, texts, and emails except from like our bosses and our coworkers, like individually. The mute button worked overtime on Friday.
I was the same thing. I heard people become Detroit Lions fans.
Oh, good.
Browns fans.
What do you mean becoming fans of these teams? Like, so they weren't fans of teams before
No.
and they just decided we're going to watch the draft and who has the best draft will decide to be on their team?
It's almost like the second round draft pick that the Titans moved up for has the plague or something. It's like, you could have got so and so. You should have did this. And well, I guess I'll be a fan of this fan base now. It was
Right.
Kayla, I was thinking to myself, this is one of the times I'm gonna actually say this out loud. Like, me as a non-Titans player was consoling Titan fans, okay? Like, I was just like, y'all, it's gonna be okay. No, man, there's a bigger plan in case here. Like, you supposed to get us answers. Like, I don't have the answers now. It was
Everybody was hurting.
hurting, okay? I was just like, y'all, it's gonna be okay. My phone rang. It was text to, it was tweeted to, it was Instagram to, it was grouped me to. Everybody hurts. It was so bad.
There it is. There's the laugh at the end.
I saw people hating this draft pick, like it was like the uncle that was just like away from the family for such a long time. Like, don't you ever come back to me again.
So what I think
Let it
maybe
ride, Shay.
had some fans feeling a little sympathy or empathy or whatever you want to call it for Will Levis, who was drafted in the second round by the Tennessee Titans, was that emotional call that he got when he was literally walking in the door. You have to at least look at that being a human and look at that and say, wow, that's a pretty special moment. Now, as it goes for the actual X's and O's part of it, that's to be determined.
I had other fan bases hitting me up about the pick, though, too.
What do you mean, other fan bases?
Like, fan bases of other teams was just like, okay.
Dogging on it?
Yeah. Well, no, they were excited.
Yeah, I had
was,
people, not Titans fans, that actually liked the move.
And what's so interesting, man, like, legitimately, people were switching sides.
Hey, Kyle Shanahan, do I care at all about any of those people today?
No, I don't see any scenario of that.
If you are not a Titans fan and you're worried about this pick, I would invite you to please worry about your own franchise. Unless you're a Kansas City fan, then you have all the right to trash talk as much as you want to. AFC North fans, sit and spin.
That was NFC
Keep it
South.
in your own division.
That was South in there, too, and NFC East, and also AFC West.
Two things could be true. The Will Levis pick was not the right one. The Titans had bigger needs that needed to be addressed. And most of the fans who reacted to this in a negative way need to take one deep breath, probably not even listen to their radio today, and just think about the terrible reaction that they had.
No, listen to your radio.
Definitely
Please listen to your radio.
radio.
Come on now. I mean, we need business here.
Please
listen to your
keep us
radio.
on your dial
Sorry, Will.
all
I
day long.
You went a little
Thank you,
far
Shay.
on that one.
Thank you,
kidding.
Shay.
Of course I'm kidding.
Well, they don't know that.
No, they do. Well, they can't comprehend much. I mean, like, if you're changing your fandom over a second-round pick, you need to seriously evaluate where your NFL team ranks in terms of things that affect your day-to-day happiness. I mean, let's be honest here. No one has ever won or lost a Super Bowl with a second-round pick, ever. It doesn't happen just singularly on a second-round pick. So two things are true. This was the wrong choice, in my opinion. But it's also the wrong choice to change your fandom, however sarcastically it is, based on a second-round pick. It's ridiculous. Anyway. 615-737-1045. If you want to join us or tell me how wrong I am, and maybe I'll just tell you how wrong you are.
All right, you are. And what I'm saying, there's a lot of people siding with you on this one, Will.
Oh, I know.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people siding with you on this one. To pick a quarterback in the second round when you pick one in the third round last year, I think if you had Malik answers,
what gets
guess
me.
what? You got your Malik answers now.
That's what gets me.
Yeah. If you wanted your Tannehill answers post this year, you got your Tannehill answers now.
The only thing I have to say about that, this is Rand Carthon's draft. This is not John Robinson's draft. So maybe he just didn't even look at that as being a part of what would go into the equation. But for right now, according to Mike Vrabel, Tannehill is number one.
Yep.
Malik Willis is number two. And Will Levis is number three, with all the freedom in the world to try to prove himself otherwise.
And the biggest thing is this. What's to hate about it the most? The lack of wide receivers?
Yeah.
A higher tight end?
It's the fact that if he's not the guy at 11, why is he the guy at 33? That's the question for Rand Carthon today.
Well, I have that answer for you already. I wait on his.
Go for it.
Because you're not going to get a player like Skoronski that highly rated again.
Okay, well, what about the fifth-year option if you want to control a quarterback long-term?
It's, to me, okay, if you feel this way, my thing is this when it comes to Levis. If he's your guy, you hit a home run.
Mm-hmm.
You hit a home run. You also get to go pay him earlier at a probably lower price, too. That's what I'd also say to that. If he's not your guy, you have no obligation to him whatsoever. He could be 2 years and out of here as far as I'm concerned if Will Levis isn't the guy. Now, this is the other portion of this, too. If you go get a guy like this when there's other needs, and yeah, there are other needs on this team. You could have went wide receiver, tight end. You could have went safety, whatever you needed to when it comes down to this team, or just other best available. Then this is the type of moves right here that get people on the hot seat. It's that, too.
I think the more problem I'm getting from people on Twitter, which it's been going all weekend long on my end too, is that they traded up to get him. So I know they didn't give up a ton, but like they actually traded up to get him, which means they really, really wanted him.
Liked him. I almost believe the Thursday night rumors that had the Thursday night rumors suggest that he could have been the fourth overall draft pick.
Well, in the rumor, the Titans wanted to move up for C.J. Stroud. I think all of that was legit.
For sure.
They wanted to leave this draft with a quarterback, with their heir apparent to Ryan Tannehill.
So what's the biggest issue? Not being aggressive enough to go get C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson?
I don't think that's a them problem. They were outgunned by a team
agree.
with considerably more draft capital than they have.
That's fair.
And I don't think Richardson probably was their guy. when it's all said and done.
Stroud was their guy. Okay.
So it's interesting. And there's a lot of reaction to be had on the phone lines today, 615-737-1045. And to the reaction we're already getting of, well, you can't tell me to feel as a fan. Yeah, that's true, but I can tell you when you're being a bit ridiculous. And people changing their fandom, that's where I begin to have a problem based on a draft. Guys, it's April. We've got a long off season. We've got to, whatever. It's May
1st.
as of this morning. Hello. We've got to pace ourselves a little bit. I mean, you don't really get to play the I'm changing my fandom card when you make a second round pick.
That's what's so comical to me. We're going to hear it
People
all
are
today and for a very
angry.
long time. They are angry.
They're frustrated.
This is the most upset I've seen this fan base since A.J. Brown. It was almost more understanding about A.J. Brown than it was with this one.
Yeah, I would agree.
Oh, I think it was much more understanding with AJ Brown than it is with this one.
Because AJ at least personally burned some bridges between him and the fan
You
base.
got something back
True.
immediately.
Yeah, right. 615-737-1045. Your phone calls coming up. Ran Carthon at 7:20. We'll ask him the question about why Will Levis was the right choice at 33, plus much more. Still to come this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 1045 The Zone.
What's a great idea for a spectacular Mother's Day gift? Genesis Diamonds. That's it. You don't have to just you don't just have ordinary mom in your life. She's the best, right? Show her with something she can enjoy for years. Something from Genesis. Stop in this week and let one of Genesis trusted advisors help you find a special, meaningful gift. Layering necklaces, stackable rings, eternity bands, pearls, elegant diamond pendants, and of course, stunning diamond earrings. Great Mother's Day ideas for any budget. The cases at Genesis are packed for the occasion. Check out the colored gemstone jewelry and all the brand new designer pieces that just arrived. And you got to see the new collection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes also. Genesis has it all at the right price. So whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th, mom deserves a gift that's anything but ordinary. And at Genesis, that's their specialty. Exquisite rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, heirloom pieces, you name it. Timeless gifts of jewelry that she can enjoy and cherish for decades to come and always be reminded of how special she is to the family. Genesis Diamonds, the only jewelry I recommend at Genesis Diamonds.
The Arizona Cardinals have traded the 33rd pick to the Tennessee Titans. With the 33rd pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Will Levis, quarterback, Kentucky.
Will Levis is a Tennessee Titan, and we take your reaction this morning at 615-737-1045 with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. I'm Will Bowling, 615-737-1045. Before we go to the phone lines, guys, what was the first thing that you thought when Will Levis was made a Tennessee Titan?
You first, Kayla?
Laughter?
I did laugh a little, and
Okay.
I thought this is not really the case because as they moved up and they were counting down and the pick at whatever, I was like, it's going to be Will Levis. It's going to be Will Levis. I just had this gut feeling it was going to be Will Levis, and when they made the announcement, I was like, oh no, they didn't.
Mine was like a smirk, smile, and disbelief. Like, no, they didn't. Because I know this is Vol country. Okay, that was the first thing. I was in a public venue, and I was just like, oh, people were just head spinning. Mine was like, no, they didn't. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Vol country, but the Tennessee fan base and the Titans fan base, there's not a ton of overlap. There's just not.
Yeah.
Not outside of Nashville.
Yeah.
There is in Nashville, but ultimately, I mean, I don't even know if Tennessee fans are the biggest fan base within the Titans fan base.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who
that?
it is. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't think Kentucky fans are that far behind, to be quite honest with you.
As far as
I think there are a
Titans
ton
fans?
of Titans fans who are Kentucky fans.
I just think people altogether who are Titans fans weren't wanting that to be the pick.
Here's the problem for me, and for the people that'll tweet me and say, "Oh, your tweet didn't age well," and all these things. It hasn't aged at all, to be honest with you, because he hasn't played yet. I still feel the way that I do. I think he's a flawed quarterback who doesn't have a feel for the game and doesn't have the accuracy needed to raise the level of those around him.
Yeah.
We'll see how injured he was last year when he plays this year.
He said the toe's good.
We'll see how much the injury that people in his camp are reporting from 2022 really held him back versus was that just him needing a really good supporting cast and a good offensive coordinator in order to be successful. I think Will Levis represents a type of quarterback that NFL fans as a whole are tired of. Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
And guys like that who are propped up based on talent that they didn't show in their most recent performances in college football. I think people are tired of that kind of prospect being propped up. And I think that is why, in addition to the Tennessee fandom here, because Tennessee fans hate Will Levis in this city and beyond. I think in addition to that, you're getting a little bit of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
That people are tired of quarterbacks like Will Levis being propped up, whereas other prospects who are outstanding college players like Hendon Hooker are not given the same attention and value. Now, whether that's right or wrong, it is not really up for debate. But I think people are tired of quote-unquote raw, toolsy prospects being picked here when those guys never end up panning out like you want them to.
I wonder, and this is not with any, because I'm living here in Tennessee, but I really do wonder, like, what was it that they saw in Will Levis compared to Hendon Hooker, who they could have had as well, and wouldn't have probably had to trade up anyway. Like, what did they see in Will that was so much more of an upside than Hendon Hooker?
Well, this also begs the question then, if they didn't pick Hendon because of the injury, how fast would
Or
it want
age.
Will Levis to press Ryan Tannehill? I think that's a fair question, too.
And honestly, that was my reaction, was honestly, just throw him out there now. Learn what you've got. The kid's 24.
You rather roll with it right now?
As I thought more about it,
Yeah.
I kind of came off that opinion because I don't think it's realistic, considering the season that guy had last year. But I honestly don't think there is a specific timetable. I think you let the way he plays in training camp and the way he progresses into this offense dictate when he plays.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick before we go to the calls, what if this is what Ryan Tannehill to push him? You know what I'm saying? As far as like you actually have somebody that can throw the ball.
Right.
What was his Logan Woodside?
Yeah, the backup for a
Logan
very
Woodside
long time.
and Malik. What if this is actually pushes Ryan Tannehill and you get the best of both worlds? So him and a guy that can learn from a guy that's been a real good pro in a year. That's my only contingency. I know most people don't want to hear that this morning.
I mean, they're all going to compete.
Yeah.
They're all going to try to want a spot.
That's where you want to be at right now as organization, ultimate competition.
I mean, if I were Malik, that's the question I'd be asking. That's the guy who you have the most question marks about next year.
Yep.
615-737-1045, the number this morning. John in the Borough is first up. What's up, John?
Morning, John.
Good morning, everybody. So my reaction to Will Levis getting drafted by the Titans, it's summed up in a tweet. He hates V. We all know V. We all love V. He's our favorite. It says, disclaimer, I reserve the right to be won over by Mayo Boys play in the future, but I hate it now. Like, that's to me the most appropriate response. I think it's a waste of a pick. I think it's a waste of a spot. And I think there were better players available. I don't like the pick. I don't think it's going to pan out. I think we have become Brownsy. You know how things Will, you know how things go Spursy in the Premier League?
I do.
We've become Brownsy with drafting quarterbacks in Tennessee.
Ooh. Thank you, John.
We can't do it.
Oh my.
He's talking about the Cleveland Browns?
Oh, yeah, Brownsy.
Yeah, Brownsy.
Mm-hmm.
Just so the people
Don't
know.
get the tape out with the jersey, with the name. Don't do
You know
that.
how many quarterbacks the Browns have been through, though?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Too many to even list.
And it's fair, too. I think there's this opinion on Twitter when you can put everything on the record that you're not allowed to change your opinion. Like, if I'm wrong, which I am quite a bit, if you listen to this show, I'll admit it.
Yeah.
I don't think I am, but I'll be happy to be wrong and support the guy if he's good at quarterback. That's fine.
Sure.
I mean, that's kind of what we get paid to do, right? Is say when we're wrong when we are.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're credible,
It's going to happen every week.
If you're credible, you do
But none of us really were big on Will Levis on the show. I'm the first to admit it. I have not been big on Will Levis. And, going back in the past and some of the quarterbacks that the Titans had that have not worked out, Jake Locker, that's frustrating because then you're seeing them pick a quarterback last year. Yes, it was in the third round, but what were the plans for him? I mean, we saw that unfold last year, and it wasn't pretty for the most part. He's still on the roster. Now you got another quarterback that's coming in. What exactly are the plans for him? There's just a lot of unknowns, and we really don't even know how long they're planning on keeping Tannehill.
Right. Well, you just got this year.
Right.
And Rand Carthon can answer all those questions with us coming up within the hour at 7:20 this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. 615-737-1045 is the number. Cornbread is up next with us this morning. What's up, Cornbread?
Hey, first things first. Will, I owe you an apology. The last couple of times I've called, I've left you out on the good morning, so I'm going to tell you good morning first thing.
Thank you, Cornbread. Appreciate it.
Next thing is I disagree with the pick. I'm a lifelong Saints fan. My GM needs to be sitting next to Rand Carthon over there at a drug and alcohol rehab on River Road in Nashville, but that's beside the point. Now, I just knew when they traded up, I was like, okay, they're going to take Hendon Hooker or they're going to get Cedric Tillman or Jalen Hyatt, somebody, and that's me being biased as a Vols fan. But, dude, you're going to take somebody who got duped by one of the worst secondaries in the SEC last season, and he threw 4 picks against Tennessee. The Tennessee DBs were his best wide receivers. And you're going to do this? The man cannot read defenses. He has a heck of an arm. He might be able to run. But if you can't read a defense, you're Vince Young 2.0. Out.
Thank you, Cornbread. Appreciate the call.
Cornbread.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of plays with him hurtling over people where you think, oh, that kind of looks like Josh Allen. And then there's him throwing terrible interceptions. You're like, yeah, that also looks like Josh Allen.
True.
Before he became a good quarterback.
Are we not of the mindset that he can grow a little bit? Like, is that where we at? Or
Sure.
I'm okay with thinking that could be the case, but this is immediate reaction. This is a reaction to what is the latest on tape, what happened last year. You can't just forget about that as a fan, as a Titans fan, and knowing that this is your quarterback now. Like, what they know of Will Levis is what they saw last year.
That's fair.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Not the year before.
This is the thing. All right, let's go here real quick. Last year for Will Levis, 11 games, 65% completion rate.
Sure.
19 touchdowns, 10 interception with a quarterback rating of 151.9.
It was a lot of inconsistency, though.
I'm with you on that one. I mean, 65% completion is pretty good. The last 2 years been 66% and 65%. His ability, I was actually told by someone, the idea that he actually worked and grinded for those starting position wasn't necessarily the case. He didn't really win at Penn State outright, and then he goes to Kentucky, they hand him the job. Was it that level of just being complacent that got him to the point that he knew nobody was going to come and take his position? Like, what if you get a better, more motivated, polished Will Levis moving forward because of, look, Vrabel has his method in which they operate offensively and everybody's in competition. What if it's that?
And it could be. And speaking of Vrabel, you know what they love about this guy?
What's that?
His toughness.
Ooh. Well,
they like the fact he was injured. He played on some injuries last year.
He did.
I mean, if I'm Kentucky, I'd almost rather see a backup than see him play injured the way he played last year. He had 109 yards against Vandy and a loss? I mean,
yeah,
it's not great.
I'm just playing DA here, devil's advocate on this one. Like, seriously, like, if you don't like him, you cut him after 2 years. You don't even reset your franchise at that position right there.
I mean, and that is the silver lining, is at least it wasn't at 11. I mean, it still got Peter Skoronski. We're going to get into the other picks as the show continues. I'm in the minority, I guess, in reading a lot of the reaction about Tajay Spears. I love the Tajay Spears pick.
I do too.
See, I kind of do too.
We talked to that guy at the Senior Bowl. We've been talking about Tajay Spears being a Tennessee Titan for months, if you've been listening to this show, because they clearly hit it off with Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel in Mobile. And Rhett Bryan's been saying it for weeks.
Absolutely.
That guy is a perfect guy to right now be a receiving back and eventually be the 1A for this franchise.
Sure.
One thing that you did add going into this, except that one room, the wide receiver room, you added quality depth. The O-line got deeper and competitive.
Yes,
the quarterback room did also. The matchups at tackle this year should be very interesting.
It's going to be insane.
And then you also got a playmaking tight end. Again, take it however you want to with this draft. Will Levis did not ruin this draft. If anything, that was another safety net. We brought this up on Friday morning, if I'm not mistaken. What's your depth at quarterback? What was your depth at quarterback?
Well, we were wondering that because we had conversation on here if we didn't even know if Malik was going to be the backup.
Right.
The issue that the Titans have at this point is you didn't address your biggest need until the 7th round. That's the problem. The problem is not even the Spears pick. You seem to really like Jalen Duncan, the offensive tackle from Maryland.
Yes.
Who will continue to break down. Josh Wiley, the tight end. I think there's some value there in a guy who's 6'7", 250. You didn't address your biggest need until day 3.
Totally disagree with that. You addressed your biggest need. You picked a quarterback. That's the way they're going to look at it moving forward. Because contractually, after this season, your only quarterback on the roster is Malik Willis.
Right.
In their opinion, they did address their biggest need in terms of they've got another quarterback to come in for competition, which is the most important spot on the team.
If Will Levis was from LSU, we having a different conversation?
No.
I think Tennessee fans might be. I think the fan base as a whole is not.
I mean, I'm not from Tennessee, and I've not been on Will Levis train since day one.
If Will Levis would have been at LSU and played that way last year, number one, the team around him may never have been that bad because it's LSU. And number two, if he would have played that bad, he would have got benched.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, too. You would have had a 5-star sitting behind it.
That's fair.
Let's make this clear, too, on the wide receiver thing real quick. They made that clear, Rand and Vrabel specifically, that there are still things that could be done to add to that wide receiver room, and that does include possible trades. So.
Those haven't worked out the past, 3 or 4 times? Between Robert Woods and Julio Jones?
Yeah.
I know that's only 2 examples, but. Anyway, 615-737-1045. AG is in Nashville. Up next with us this morning. Hello, AG.
Man, the Titans got the whiniest, crybabiest, need a pacifier fan in the world. We have drafted the needs because we took the most talented players according to the general manager's draft board, man. As far as pass catchers, we brought in a 6'7" tight end. Y'all just said the running back can catch passes out of the backfield. Kyle Phillips a wide receiver who was doing good before he got injured should be playing nicely next year. Man, the Titans fans cry too much, and Will Levis, they said his supporting cast sucks. So if we ain't seen this man play a snap in the NFL yet and not cast him out, that's just a reflection on how most y'all feel about y'all life. It just sucks, man. So y'all just got that pessimistic attitude, man. Tighten up, man. Y'all tripping.
Hey, G, go on.
Thank you, AG.
Go on, AG.
They got deep there in a hurry.
AG's preaching the gospel today, man.
AG's like, pipe down.
Pipe down, man.
Well, it's going to be hard to follow that. So let's give the people a break to get ready to follow that.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up next, when we come back, we'll start with Eric on the other side. This is Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone. Coming up at 7:20 this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, Rand Carthon joins us. Talk to the Titans general manager after his first NFL draft as the Titans GM. 615-737-1045 is how you join in on the conversation. As we go rapid fire on the phones, beginning with Eric in Nashville up next. Hey, Eric.
Hey, guys, Titans fans and everybody, no stages of denial. First, there's shock. Then there's anger. Then there's denial. And then there's acceptance. Guys, it is what it is. You have to accept it, guys. I was at first shocked, but then I was accepted. I didn't do none of the other stuff. When the draft pick was first made, I laughed Will, and I thought of you. Overall Pro Football Focus gave our draft an A, and I was surprised we did not draft a defensive player. That really surprised me. But, guys, we got to roll with it, and we got to live with it. It is what it is. So, we'll see what happens. Guys, y'all take care. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, E.
Yeah.
It is funny. We'll get to some of those grades coming up, and I told you that I hate NFL draft grades, and I do. But I think it actually is a meaningful part of the conversation today for the Titans because pretty much anybody nationally who ranks draft classes loves this Titans draft class.
I know.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
saw that.
a little funny. Just Mike in Cleveland. I'm glad. Mike basically is going to probably just take the rest of this segment, I imagine. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good morning.
What up? What up? Oh, y'all actually went by the name that I wanted. That's what's up, y'all. I appreciate that. How y'all feeling? How y'all been?
Good. How are
Mike,
you?
we haven't heard from you in a
I
while.
know.
Everything good?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, everything all Gucci, man. Just trying to, stay focused. That's all. Stay focused. Yo, real quick, before I make everybody mad, I got a new song coming out May the 12th. Just, FYI, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Plug. Yeah. It's fire. May 12th, Big Steppin'. We'll be on all platforms. Now, I'm about to make y'all mad. I'm gonna go ahead and say, AG, you're right on cue, homie. And John in the borough, you're right on cue too. Cause Titans fans are definitely starting to look like these Cleveland Browns fans. Y'all is complaining way too much. Y'all done got real privilege down there in the South, and now y'all think y'all know everything and y'all better than the whole organization. Will, you made good sense, sir. Like always, I think you made perfectly good sense. But pretty much, man, y'all is complaining too much. I told you at the end of last season, be patient. This is a rebuild. Homeboy might not work out, but homeboy just might go out there and do everything that y'all saying he can't do. So pretty much I like the pick because y'all hate the pick, and I think these past few years y'all done showed that y'all don't have a clue. Not y'all on the show, Titans fan base. Y'all really don't know as much as y'all think y'all do. So yeah, man, that's it. That's all I got to say. Quit whining. Tighten up.
Thank you, Mike.
Just Mike.
Good call from me.
It's like fans against fans.
Yeah. It's like being in the middle of a family argument right now.
about Will Levis.
It is.
Eric in Columbia is next, 615-737-1045 as we keep rolling right along. Hey, Eric.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning.
Good. So I'm not high on the Levis take. I will admit that. I wasn't excited about him coming. I wanted C.J. Stroud. First night of the draft, I was like, okay, they're going to get Stroud. I know they're going to get Stroud. And I'm like, it didn't work out. I'm like, damn. And then we get Levis, and I'm just like, I just don't know, I mean, just be patient, see what happens. It is what it is, like Eric in Nashville said. And I thought when they were moving up, I thought they were going to try and get Jalen Hyatt or that dude from University of Cincinnati. But, it is what it is. But, I think because there was rumors that DeAndre Hopkins was trying to come here when we were trying to move up to number 3, that could be the plan, And my mom calms me down when this stuff happens. So, like, don't listen to your mom's like, there's probably a bigger plan here. So I'm going to say that, and I'm going to DeAndre Hopkins is going to come here like Clowney did in June, and Julio Jones came here in June. So I think it's going to be DeAndre Hopkins in June. But that's all I got to say. You guys have a good day. Be blessed.
Thank you,
Me
Eric.
too.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank goodness for our moms.
No doubt.
I don't know if I want a move that's being compared to Jadeveon Clowney and Julio Jones.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was particularly
June
framed
at
right.
that.
I think you're more likely to get Corey Davis if he gets released.
That's actually what I'm thinking.
I think it's Corey
Corey.
Davis. I think it's Jawan Jennings. I mean, I legitimately think there's somebody coming here who has familiarity with Carthon and or Vrabel.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's somebody who is displaced by the moves that were made over the weekend.
Yep.
And the waiver wire is going to be popping
Correct.
at the wide receiver position.
Starting today, I believe.
Whoever the New York Jets don't want could step in and be wide receiver too.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows?
Monday movement day.
Monday movement day. I like that.
Cousin P wraps up hour one, 615-737-1045. Hello, Cousin P.
What's up, P?
Hey, good morning. Good morning. So I just want to say this before I get started. I look at Will Levis, and I see like a 1980s like villain, like in a high school movie, like a bully or something like that, man. Like he just seems like he'd be that kind of guy that would just be bullying all the kids in one of our 1980 films. But nonetheless, I'll say this, guys. You can love the pick or you can hate the pick. But, Will, like you said, it's not okay, in my opinion, to just abandon the team because someone didn't get picked that you like. You know, I called in on the show last week, and I was first to say that I didn't want a quarterback at all.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want Hendon Hooker. I didn't want Will Levis, or if Anthony Richardson was there, I didn't want him. I didn't want anybody in the second round that was a quarterback. I wanted someone that could catch the ball. So that's my opinion there. But I knew when I heard rumors that we were trying to trade back into the first round, when I heard that, I figured there's Will Levis. And sure enough, we traded up in the second, and there he goes. I'm willing to give the guy a chance. I hope that he can produce. I really want this guy to be a perennial Pro Bowler, and I really want this guy to be, 10-time Super Bowl winning champion, right? Like, this is what we hope for. But we're not going to wish for this man's downfall or anything like that. We're going to hope that he does well. And that's all I can think. And guess what? If he doesn't do well, then we're right back in the quarterback market. But Titans fans, everybody just calm down. Everybody chill out. Let's just see what the kid can do. We hope that he is going to be our Josh Allen. That's what I'm hoping for, right? Josh Allen was the best passer, and now he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So let's just see what this kid can do and take a deep breath and give him a chance, guys. Appreciate you taking the call.
Thank you, Cousin Pete. Appreciate it.
One guy that got better as a second rounder, I know this is not comparing one to the other, but Jalen Hurts, pocket passing, decision-making got a little bit better. To y'all point earlier.
He improved as a quarterback overall.
And I'm not trying to compare one to another, okay?
Right.
It's just that this could be the outlook. But do you trust the coaching and development to get him to that point?
And that's what we're going to see because a lot of this coaching staff, there's a lot of new guys intermixed, right?
Yep.
A lot of different positions, specific position coaches on top of analysts. Like there's a lot to this coaching staff this year. So that's a great point. You wonder like how much are they really like going to be put on their shoulders to develop some of these guys that they're taking, like Will Levis, maybe a chance on.
And my thing is also, do you trust the analytics of everything that Rand spoke about? Did you see that? Did you want to see more of that? Like, was this part of the analytics plan to, like, draft these players in this draft, all offensive?
Well, they had their assistant GM who is in charge of all the analytics available on Saturday, who kind of answered some of those types of questions, you know?
Yeah.
Summary of hour one is that you can be skeptical about a pick, but still cheer for a player and a team. It doesn't play on Twitter to have nuance. So let's give you nuance here this morning at 6:54 in the morning. You could be skeptical about a pick, yet still cheer for that player and hope that he works out with the expectation that he probably won't. I think that's where a lot of us in the middle are today. 615-737-1045 is the number. Hour two continues when we come back as we take a look at every pick the Titans made since we last spoke to you on Friday morning. Get ready to talk to Rand Carthon at 7:20 on a big show, Monday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 1045 The Zone.
7:02. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The Tennessee Titans made 6 selections in the 2023 NFL draft, including first-round offensive lineman Peter Skoronski, also second-round quarterback Will Levis.
The Arizona Cardinals have traded the 33rd pick to the Tennessee Titans. With the 33rd pick in the 2023 NFL draft, the Tennessee Titans select Will Levis, quarterback, Kentucky.
The other most notable pick, third-round running back Tyjae Spears. Titans general manager Rand Carthon set to join us in about 15 minutes here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Braves and Mets were postponed for a second straight day due to weather. Set to play a doubleheader beginning at 11:10 this morning. An historic upset in the NHL. The Florida Panthers, a team that Ramon Foster didn't think even existed, defeated the Boston Bruins 4-3 in overtime of Game 7 to eliminate the Bruins, who had the most successful regular season in league history. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Monday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville with 11-year NFL veteran Ramon Foster. With broadcast veteran with a capitalized J, Kayla Anderson.
You.
And the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer.
The best producer in the world!
My name is Will Bowling. Monday, May the 1st, with Titans general manager Rand Carthon set to join us in 15 minutes. His first interview after his first draft as the general manager of your Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
Big conversation coming up.
Yeah, it is.
I'm looking forward to this one. We got some questions.
Yeah, we do.
Her.
And his fan base does, too. They need some answers about what projection this team is headed to. So we'll see what we can get, Will. Kayla?
Some interesting picks over the weekend. We've discussed at length already the Will Levis pick. Tyjae Spears, the selection in the 3rd round. If you need reasoning for why Tyjae Spears became a Tennessee Titan over the weekend, I invite you to watch the Cotton Bowl against USC. And that's all the reasoning that you will need. 22 catches for 256 and 2 touchdowns. Ran for 202 with 4 touchdowns against USC in that game. Mm-hmm. Had 1,500 yards, 19 touchdowns in 2022. And Rand Carthon said he is a 3-down runner.
Correct.
He is what Derrick Henry was to DeMarco Murray at the end of DeMarco Murray's tenure as a Tennessee Titan. Changed my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, straight up.
100%.
Wow. I thought that was a good get for this team, man. Having that scat back, the guy that has the ability to, like you said, to be a 3-down back to where you can't scheme around it defensively. You don't know if he's going to get the ball, catch the ball, or run an outside zone. Good, man. I thought that was a very solid pickup.
So I know people were like, well, it wasn't a wide receiver. Here's the thing, though. They followed their board. This was a guy that was high on their board. That's no surprise. Rhett has come on here, Rhett Bryan, several times and said they love Tyjae Spears. Like, they met him at the Senior Bowl and were like, this is a dude, and clearly kept him in mind. Right. And when I think he kind of fell a little. Like, I don't know exactly where I was expecting him to go, but I knew that he had a high upside in terms of talent. And they thought it was good enough to fit in their organization and their offense. Whether he'll be utilized right away, the way that they'd like him to, they're going to have to wait for that.
I personally think this follows the same protocol they did with Elijah Mitchell, like out of San Francisco.
It does kind of.
They were supposed to pick a defensive player, and what did he say that they do, Kayla? They went with best available,
and
right?
that was Rand's guy.
That was Rand's guy that said this, Elijah Mitchell. So. Mm-hmm. This spoke to, okay, yeah, we didn't need him, right? you'd probably prefer the wide receiver. But Vrabel said this yesterday. Just because you guys think we need a wide receiver, you mean to tell me we're going to go to number 99 overall instead of picking a better ranked running back? I think that's the situation we find ourselves in.
Mm-hmm.
615-737-1045. We'll get to more reaction on the phone lines coming up here in just a minute. But wanted to run through all the picks over the weekend since we last spoke to you. Cincinnati tight end Josh Wiley in the 5th round. I think this is a good pick. I think this is a guy that complements Chigakonkwo really well.
Yep.
With the 147th overall pick. He scored 15 touchdowns at Cincinnati, which is a record formerly held by fellow NFL tight end Brent Selleck for the Bearcats. 6'6.5", 248. Had 32 catches for 326 and 3 scores last season for the Bearcats. I think the Titans are looking at their tight end room and have to feel pretty good about where they are moving forward at that position now. Yes, could you have maybe addressed that spot on day 2 as well? Probably. But this is a guy that was on Bruce Feldman's freak list going into the NFL draft in a good way.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I like it a lot. And here's the thing, that had a Vrabel connection.
Yeah, it did.
Go figure. Vrabel knew him well from following him with Luke Fickell up there at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of followed this young man's career and probably had a guy in Luke Fickell where he could go and get detailed feedback on. Luke Fickell, by the way, outstanding coach. Yeah. Now is going to be up there in, is it Wisconsin, right? Yeah. So a little intel on that one, I'm sure.
Wisconsin, who could be a sleeping giant, by the way, too. I
kind of agree with you on that.
That program could absolutely have a lot of success under him. Jalen Duncan, we'll get to the breakdown of him later in the show, the tackle from Maryland, because that is a prospect Ramon has been familiar with through the entire process. But wanted to give a shout-out to UT Martin wide receiver Colton Dowell, a Wilson Central Wildcat, who becomes a Tennessee Titan courtesy of a 7th-round pick Saturday afternoon. I was tweeting with Colton Dowell like a month and a half ago.
Get out of here.
A couple of his coaches have been on the zone before.
How's bragging camp going?
Pretty well. Ben Crouch, one of his coaches from high school, who we've had on our high school football media day a season ago. Those coaches rave about this guy. And some of the coaches at Wilson Central, saw them on Twitter yesterday, were really celebrating this pick. This is a guy that is as athletic as it gets at that position, that's ranked in the top percentile, essentially, of wide receivers in terms of the way he performed at his pro day, the way that he ran. Ran a 4.440 and has a 41.5 vertical at 6'2", 205.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So Josh Crouch, the head football coach for the Green Hill Hawks, very familiar with him and certainly was complimentary.
That's really cool. Good for him. That's awesome.
All right. 615-737-1045 is our number. We're going to hit our break right now and talk with Rand Carthon coming up next. Tons to discuss with the Titans general manager as he reflects on his first draft in Nashville. What does he like the most about this class? What does he like the most about Will Levis as his new addition to the quarterback room? Coming up with the GM on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone. Put Lee Company on your team and stay ahead of the game with home maintenance, repairs, and much more. What's going on? It's Will Bowling. For $12 per month, you can sign up for the Lee Company home maintenance plan and receive 4 visits to your home every year by an experienced technician. Let the Lee Company professionals keep your air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and electrical systems in tip-top shape. Get the best players on your team today and learn more at leecompany.com or give them a call at 615-567-1000. It's cool today. It probably heating up over the next couple of days, but you know how it is with the unpredictable weather here if you spend any time in Middle Tennessee. Lee Company has got you covered for just $12 per month. You're going to get 4 visits to your home every year by an experienced technician. All you got to do is call them at 615-567-1000. Visit them online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. But a morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, and it's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors right here on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling with you. Jonathan Schaefer making the show happen. Coming up here in just about 60 seconds, Titans general manager Ran Carthon is scheduled to join us.
Yay.
First draft class. First interview after the first draft class. And a big morning for us here to get to talk with him first.
Yeah.
For sure. Get some understanding, man. I think anybody in this position is hoping you got an A-plus grade. It was, as you said, Will, early. I think Caleb may have said it. Some outlets that gave this team a as far as overall grading, quality of picks and stuff like that.
A lot of national people did.
They enjoyed this pick. They absolutely did. And one is also the idea of taking a quarterback in the second round, which amps that up a little bit too, considering today's numbers and markers of what quarterbacks mean to teams.
Well, they looked at it as a value pick in a way because Will Levis did fall to the second round, and they did trade up to get him. They didn't give away a lot, though.
Did not.
So.
Did not. It shows, honestly, the commitment potentially to getting better at that position. 2 years in a row, you get a quarterback in after the first round. Says a whole lot, probably, of Tannehill's tenure a little bit. We'll see.
Joining us right now on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, the Titans general manager, Ran Carthon, just days after his first draft class was picked here as the Titans GM. Good morning, Ran. How are you?
Top of the top. How we doing?
Good morning.
We're good, and wanted to just start with your view of the entire class you brought in here for your first draft class in Tennessee. As you reflect on the guys you made Titans over the weekend, what do you like the most about this class?
First and foremost, I think they're all good football players. I think they all bring something, refreshing to their respective positions. But more than anything, they're good people, people that we got the opportunity to spend time with, that we really got to know, and feel like that, they have the qualities of what we want a Titan to be.
Well, Ran, I'm going to start at the quarterback position because that's where the conversation often begins in a draft class when you add a QB. What did you see in Will Levis in 2021 that made you believe in his ability to maybe overcome some of the struggles he had in 2022?
Well, Will is a, big, strong guy, has a strong arm. He's run NFL offenses, whether it was under Liam Cohen or Rich Gangarello. They ran NFL-style offenses. So from a comprehension standpoint, he understands NFL concepts, and he's executed NFL concepts. But, the one thing that really stood out about Will at his position, he's extremely tough, and extremely competitive. And I think you kind of saw some of that in his reaction, whether it was the first night of the draft or after he got the call that we were taking him, you kind of saw some of that competitive fire come out. So you feel good about him coming in and, being the best teammate he can be and competing for us.
And when it comes to now that quarterback's room, Ran, you've got Ryan Tannehill, who Mike Vrabel this past weekend said is the number one right now, followed by Malik Willis. And then you've got Will Levis, who has every chance to do what he needs to do to be that guy in the future. How do you see this all working in terms of just pushing each other? And what do you see that like as competition this fall?
The one thing Coach Vrabel has, been consistent about in his message to the team is that you earn it on the grass. Regardless of draft status, regardless of how, you got here, you earn it on the grass. So, those guys, and just like any other position, if you're a good player and you come out and you work your behind off, your assignment, and you show it on the field, you'll get the opportunity to play. So, again, it's going to all be determined by those guys.
There was a great pick in terms of this show, at least. We've been following a lot of running back Tajay Spears because we were also down at the Senior Bowl where we had you on our show. And I know you guys kind of got a chance to meet him at the Senior Bowl and follow him from then on in terms of the draft process. But what was it about him that really you said, we've got to have him here, he's a good fit in that running backs room?
Well, we felt like Tajay was a 3-down runner that can,
not only run the ball and give you production there, but he was really good in the passing game, and he's tough in terms of pass protection. And you saw that at the Senior Bowl. You saw his progression and how he got better each day in terms of the pass pro drills throughout the week. So it showed his ability to, be able to improve in just a short amount of time. But again, it goes back to when we brought him in on a visit, and I remember Mike and I having him here in the office and just talking to him about non-football, talking to him about life and getting to know the person. Like, you felt really good about, him as a young man, that shows some level of maturity and understood who he was and who he wasn't in the area that he needed to improve. So it just really encouraged you about, having him grow up here as a Titan.
And real quick, Rand, just about the health is always a thing in the last 2 seasons with, fans and just questioning that. And so you guys felt comfortable, too, with just his health and those knees and everything?
Yeah, so before we ever enter the draft, process, we have the medical meeting with our medical team, and it's not only our head trainer Todd, but it's our team doctors as well. So we knew we know the nature of his knee and the prognosis and what it means for his future. But more than anything, Tajay knows his own plan. He knows what it takes to get him ready to play, and I think he's shown over the last couple of years that whatever it is or isn't with the knee, that he knows what it takes to play, and he's played.
Rand, when it comes to taking a quarterback in the second round like Will Levis, and you also having Ryan Tannehill on the roster too, do you lean on your time as a player? You and Vrabel both playing at this level. Lean on your time as a player to say, you know what? Even if the masses don't agree with what we got going on, we know what this process is like. What is it like inside the building for you and Vrabel as far as picking them?
Well, for us, man, Ramon, I was waiting on the O-line talk with you, but I was.
Always. Well, you know how it goes.
You're getting fancy now. You want to talk quarterback.
Fancy.
I got that queued up, man. You know how this league goes. The quarterbacks always take over, man. We just protect and go.
No, I'll say this about, and again, it's led by coach in terms of, the competition for the guys. Like, it's our job, to continue to look for good football players to add and create competition at every position. Like you said, this is a quarterback-driven league, and realistically, it's almost like how we talk about offensive linemen. You could never have enough. You could never have enough pass rushers. And so, I really lean on my experience coming from San Francisco this last year, where if we did not have 3 quarterbacks, going into the season, who knows what our season would have looked like, and so, but also with adding a guy like Ryan, it's trusting your board and understanding the value of, players and positions, and knowing that he was a guy that was, highly coveted on our board and highly thought of, and he was just there in the second and gave us opportunity to get him.
And to that point, too, the offensive line, Peter Skoronski, how easy is it to pick a guy like that whenever they fall? Like, he's a top 3 guy we had this entire draft process. Were you shocked that he fell that way? And not only that, the Jalen Duncan pick, too. You guys have created a culture inside of that room now that screams competition across the board for everybody. Was that the purpose of those 2 picks?
Well, let's start with Peter. Peter was a guy, like you said, everyone knows, the level of player that he is, and he was a guy, again, we didn't think would be there. One that we liked from the very start of the process, and but didn't think he would be there. And as it started to take shape, it was he stood out when you're looking at your board, not only vertically but horizontally. Where he was placed, it stood out, and so we were fortunate to be able to get him. And then a guy like Jalen. Jalen has all the traits and physical skills to be a productive player, in this league. And once we brought him in here for a 30 visit, he had an incredible visit with us, and that really encouraged us about who he is as a person. So he's a guy that we're really excited about, working with on and off the field.
He's kind of come out and say, he's not really played guard a whole lot. You look at the Dillard signing earlier this offseason, too. Do you kind of look at that and say, we got two guys that are super flexible with their transition into this NFL? Do you kind of consider him going to left tackle or guard first when it comes to Skoronski?
In terms of Skoronski, I think ultimately he'll determine that.
Okay.
Whether you turn the card in as a tight end, you know what I mean? Like, again, he's versatile, and we have other guys on our team that are versatile that, hopefully will give us the opportunity to just put our best five on the field instead of lumping guys in one particular way. They're versatile in that they have experience, whether it's guys playing both tackles or guys playing, guard and tackle, or say a guy like Brunskill that's played all five. It'll allow us just to put our best five on the field.
Titans general manager Rand Carthon, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Rand, what other ways do you see your team addressing the wide receiver position and the need you have there moving forward this offseason?
Well, it's the offseason isn't over. Our 53-man roster doesn't have to be set until September. So we'll continue to, look to address that. We're in practically the third phase of player acquisition. It was free agency first and now the draft. And then now we have, other leagues coming to the end of their years. And, there are going to be these waiver wires coming up because as teams are adding players, they have to be compliant with the 90-man roster rules. And so people are going to get cut. We're going to continue to work to not only improve, at the wide receiver room, but just our team as a whole. But, it just requires patience from everybody. It required, patience from the players we didn't take in free agency or the players that we didn't take, in the draft. Like, it doesn't mean that it's over. We just got to, continue to be patient and allow this whole process to take shape. We don't have to get down to 53 until September.
So, Rand, on the note of patience in that conversation, what is your message today to the fan that maybe is frustrated with one or two or however many of the picks over the weekend? What's kind of your message to that season ticket holder or fan that maybe has orange tinted glasses sometimes and and may not be as big of a fan of some of the picks specifically?
Well, I mean, I'll say this. I'm not on social media, so I don't, see those things that are being said. My focus is, again, constantly looking to improve this team every day and just know that we're working, and again, it's not a finished product. We're not playing Sunday. We're not playing today or Thursday. So like I said, it's the process and player acquisition isn't over, and so we're always diligently working to find the best, football players to bring to this team, and it's just a patient approach.
Sorry, Rand.
I'm sorry. Go
ahead.
You
go. I cut you off.
No, I'm good. It's your turn.
No, I was curious because and it's a good message because, like you said, you're not on social media. We're here in radio, and so you hear a lot of the people that are out there, and everybody's going to have their opinions. An opinion that I think a lot of us have with the 7th round pick was Tennessee Martin wide receiver Colton Dowell. I mean, just talk about this guy. What a story for him to be, able to stay here and get a chance with you guys. Like, what did you see out of him that made you think, okay, 7th round, there's some value here?
No, he's a good football player. He's a strong-built guy. And we just saw improvement from the time that you watched his tape, and some things that you may thought that he could have worked on. And then we got him here for our local day, and just through his work with our wide receiver coach, Rob, you saw improvement on things just in the drill work in the, 15, 20 minutes that he had to work on the field with Rob. And so you felt good about it, and after, taking the pick and taking him, I probably got about either 6 texts, I'll say 6 texts and phone calls from teams around the league, saying that either that was the guy our head coach coveted, or that was a guy that they thought was that they were going to be able to take in the 7th. And so, it just shows that he was well thought of, in that round. And I just think, the guy's a good football player, and I think he's going to be able to provide us with some 4-down value.
when we look at these draft picks, all offensive, which I'm very proud of, okay?
There he is.
But was this a situation which you described to us earlier where you guys' board and analytics say, you know what, his overall score is better than a defensive guy that we're possibly looking at? Was that the case, or is it, you know what, let's get a younger, faster, more interesting style of offense here for the Tennessee Titans moving forward?
It was really just the way the board came and took shape. You know, it's we read the board like you read a page in a book. You know, you're reading from left to right, and as you look across, because you rank the guys vertical and then you rank them horizontal, and as you're looking and guys are standing out, you know, you want to trust your board and trust, you know, what the work that your scouts and coaches have done to evaluate these guys, and it's just the way the board just took shape this year.
Titans GM Rand Carthon with us on 104.5 The Zone. And Rand, on the way out, really high marks in the relative athletic score for a lot of the guys you took and guys that are just athletes at every position on that offensive side of the football. How big of a point of emphasis is that for you all, specifically when you have a coach like Mike Vrabel, to just give him as athletic of a roster as possible for him to mold as a coach?
Well, I personally think Coach Vrabel is, you know, one of the best coaches in the league, and I felt that prior to me coming here. I felt that years ago, and you know, when you have a coach like him, a coach that can, you know, do things schematically to put his players in the best position, it's our job, you know, as a whole to just be tasked with bringing in the most athletic and, you know, best football players we can to help, you know, continue to help him in terms of his game plan. And so that's the piece that we add from the personnel side. But, you know, you always want to add as many athletes to the team as possible. As you guys know, from if you're looking at the offensive line guys that we brought in, the defensive line is now probably one of the most athletic positions in our league. You know, and so you got to be able to stay in front of those guys. And, you know, these corners are getting taller and longer, so you want to continue to improve, you know, at that position. And, you know, and then when you think about the greatest position ever created in walking this earth, the running back position.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you always want to have, you know, athletes there. So, you know, this league as a whole just gets more and more athletic, you know, every year, and you have to be able to keep pace with that.
Rand, you're sounding like the Titans way right there between Chris Johnson, Eddie George, and Derrick Henry talking about the best position, the running back position. I just know Ramon Foster is heartbroken you didn't say right guard.
Well, I mean, Ramon knows.
Come on,
we as running backs, we help make those right guards right.
That's right.
And we show the love to the big fellas. We take care of them, and you know he knows. Because trust me, at some point in Ramon's life, whether it was little league, church league, PAL league, he wanted to carry the ball.
Exactly.
So, see, that's the problem right there, Rand. Come on, man. Look. You're better than this, okay? That's all I got to tell you.
This is why Rand's so close with George Foster, by the way, right here.
Yeah, it is, because he run into the backs of offensive linemen. That's what he do. But
I never ran up the back of the offensive lineman unless it was 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and we just needed that yard. That's just the surge. That's what we do.
You know what, Rand? I was in a space to do my impression of you, but I really,
really?
I don't know if I'm ready for it right now, man.
No, let's go.
Please, Rand.
You set the table.
Yeah,
have you heard
Rand.
about this? Are the streets talking about the Rand Foster? Is that what we're calling this? I don't know what we're calling this.
The Rand.
I need to hear this. Let's go.
So I talked to Ryan Tannehill earlier this offseason. My conversation with Ryan Tannehill is that he's our quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, and I'm his quarterback of this franchise, and we believe in the Titans. So I'm telling you, he's here because he's under contract. That's you ran in the air for, man. The cadence is there. I'm a little off, but it's been a running joke on here. It's like, man, Ryan sound like me talking when I'm talking about this is Ryan Tannehill of the Tennessee Titans, and he's under contract. And Ryan know where he stands with us, and I with him in this Tennessee Titans fan base. I'm telling you, man.
I'll say this, big fella. When I see you, it's on site.
I won't be wearing Crocs then.
Rand, I feel like we hit about every possible note that you could hit in this conversation. We really appreciate the time this morning.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Rand.
There he is. There's Rand Carthon with us.
What a good sport.
Ramon, Kayla, and Will. A good sport for sure. I mean, honestly, I think we hit about everything we could hit with him between some of the tough questions about the moves that he made over the weekend, and then the stuff that we'll do with him, occasionally in off seasons as well.
You tweeted out something. I think that answers everybody's question.
I think so too.
Can I tease it?
I'm curious to see if we have the same answer on the most illuminating quote from Rand Carthon right there. That's coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Contractors rely on Ferguson HVAC for their extensive inventory of parts, supplies, and equipment. With convenient locations from Memphis to Knoxville and Bowling Green to Chattanooga, Ferguson is the nation's third leading wholesale distributor of HVAC and refrigeration products with top manufacturers including Ruud and Mitsubishi Electric. And with indoor air quality as a priority for all of us at work and home, Ferguson offers a wide variety of indoor air quality products, including top brands like Air Scrubber and Well Air, and many other brands to choose from. Ferguson HVAC has Tennessee contractors ready to meet your cooling, heating, and indoor air quality needs. For more information, visit ferguson.com/HVAC.
It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. Good conversation with Tennessee Titans general manager Rand Carthon, who joined us just a couple of minutes ago and gave us some insightful information on why Will Levis was chosen in the second round. And for the Tennessee fan wondering why Levis was chosen over Hendon Hooker, here is the answer straight from the general manager just a couple of minutes ago.
You were taking him, you kind of saw some. But, Will is a, big, strong guy, has a strong arm. He's run NFL offenses, whether it was under Liam Cohen or Rich Gangarello. They ran NFL-style offenses. So from a comprehension standpoint, he understands NFL concepts, and he's executed NFL concepts. But, the one thing that really stood out about Will at his position, he's extremely tough, and extremely competitive. And I think you kind of saw some of that in his reaction, whether it was the first night of the draft or after he got the call that we were taking him, you kind of saw some of that competitive fire come out. So you feel good about him coming in and, being the best teammate he can be and competing for us.
Mm-hmm. That's Rand Carthon specifically saying Will Levis has run NFL-style offenses. He understands NFL concepts, and he executed NFL concepts. The only thing I disagree with there is that he executed them, because he didn't in 2022. But without a shadow of a doubt, I think Rand Carthon is telling us right there why Will Levis was the pick instead of Hendon Hooker.
Mm-hmm. Can I also say this, too? He can say that and it not be a diss towards Hendon Hooker also. Okay, hear that out again.
He said it like twice, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And he can say that without it being a diss, meaning the situation is two totally different. I look at the Tennessee Titans offense as a run-first style offense, a drop-back style offense, okay? I don't think they have visions of doing what Tennessee does, okay? But you have a guy that's processed and did a playbook and understand all those things of a pro-style offense, and that's why they went with Levis as opposed to Hendon Hooker. It ain't a knock against Hendon or the Tennessee offense either. It all depends on the team and how you foreshadow your future going behind that quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. And it makes you kind of realize, too, again, you brought up that point of the running back first type of mentality. You heard Rand, that's not going away. That's not going away anytime soon, and hence why they probably took a guy like Tajay Sharp who could be that dude in the future as well. Yeah. And I will say this about Will Levis and the competitiveness, and I mentioned this earlier. They do like that. That's what they like. He's got a tough mindset. He was pumping his fist. He was so pumped when he got that call, and you could tell he was just fired up. And I asked Will Levis when we got him on the Zoom call after the pick, I asked him, will you have a chip on your shoulder moving forward with whatever happens, knowing that the other guys in the AFC South passed on you? And a lot of guys passed on you because you fell to the second round. And he said, I'm definitely going to always have that chip. But I don't think he's going to live by that, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's almost a good thing. Make him feel doubted, because maybe that's even more of a reason to go out there and prove yourself to be the dude in the future.
I ain't gonna say much rather. I'd rather you all think it's a home run hit with a guy like Will Levis at quarterback, any quarterback for that matter. I'll say this. Last year, this fan base absolutely loved Malik Willis.
Yes.
Y'all remember that?
And he was a third-round pick.
He was a third-round pick. He was the media darling when it came down to it. And, yes, he still has room to grow. But you loved him last year, and after seeing him in 2 games last year, you absolutely knew he wasn't the guy. So I ain't going to say I'd much rather see Will Levis having to come in and prove to you guys that he can play in this league and he can process and deliver the ball and not have double-digit turnovers the last 2 years, because that's also another thing. 13 interceptions in 2021 and 10 last year. Now, some of them may have been deflected and all types of things like that, but all that matters is what's on the stat sheet. And it says last 2 years he's had double-digit turnovers. We heard the conversation with Vrabel and Rand this past weekend. We asked him to bring us all his bad plays and turnovers and explain to us why that happened. It shows that he's going to end up being a coachable guy if he actually follows through. It's one thing to tell your kids to do something, right? But to actually see them deliver on it is a totally different story. So hopefully we get to see the delivery of Will Levis controlling the football. And we're saying all this, and Ryan Tannehill's still on his roster.
Yeah.
The other thing that I thought was interesting to me in what he said about the wide receiver position was other leagues coming to the end of their year. That's noteworthy from Rand Carthon mentioning that the XFL and USFL will likely be places where the Titans look at talent. And there is precedent for this in the guys they've brought in because Daniel Brunskill, this team's starting guard probably, or center, played in the AAF for the San Diego Fleet before he was signed to an NFL contract. Daniel Brunskill played for the San Diego Fleet in 2019 after spending 2 seasons with the Atlanta Falcons on the practice squad in 2018, and then was signed to the San Francisco 49ers, where he eventually blocked Aaron Donald and was good against Aaron Donald in a San Francisco 49ers uniform. So I think that's a little bit of a note there into where Rand Carthon is going to emphasize talent acquisition, not afraid to go to these lower spring leagues and bring guys up.
But you know what? They've already gotten reps. You're going to get them for cheap. And these dudes are dying to be in the NFL.
Well, I'm dying for them to not be wide receiver 2 the second they get signed.
I don't think that's going
No,
to be okay.
no.
And I don't think so either. But, I mean, the guys that are playing in those leagues, Josh Gordon is playing in that league.
He is.
Saw what that guy did here last year. No disrespect to him. He didn't break through in a wide receiver room that was already bad.
Right.
Well, I think last year you almost went with the name too, man. I hope we get past that point. Maybe some of these no-name guys
it's
and
always
certain
be
players.
A thing, though, Mo.
I know, but like maybe that's what. maybe that's the reset you need. Screw the names. Let these dudes become Tennessee Titans playmakers.
But I think that's why people were hoping they took a wide receiver earlier. Because it could have been a name in the draft, but
that's fair.
Not in the league that's been around for a while. So people were hoping, well, let's just get a new one, right? A guy that's young that has all that potential, but that didn't happen until the 7th, which, hey, he could be a dude.
Love the tight end.
He could be a dude. Yeah. Wiley.
Love Wiley pick.
Coming up next, Ramon Foster's breakdown of Maryland tackle Jalen Duncan, who was added to this roster over the weekend. The headlines from what Rand Carthon had to say with us just about 15 minutes ago here on the show, if you missed any of that conversation. Plus Mike Tanier of Football Outsiders, who always brings it and has been bringing his opinion on Will Levis for months. And it is similar to the one that we have had for months. Coming up at 8:20. That's next as Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues on a Monday morning on 104.5 The Zone.
I am joined by Dean Glasscock of Arbor Art Tree and Shrub, your expert in trees and shrubs right here in Middle Tennessee. The services you have, endless, Dean, but what can you tell us about plant health care, that program specifically, in order to help protect your investment?
Yeah, that's right. Happy Monday, everybody. It's a beautiful day out there. Spring is amongst us, and that brings pressure. Things are growing, leafing out. All the bugs are waking up, and their eggs have overwintered, and now they're bursting open. So if you are on our plant health care program, where we come out and visit 7 times a year during the growing season especially, we have already done our first round where we protect the plants by spraying a dormant oil that smothers the eggs that are around these trees and shrubs around your home. So give us a call, 615-299-9999. We can set you up on a custom program that's going to take care of the trees and shrubs that you have invested in around your home. We can help you protect them. So, give us a call, 615-299-9999 for all your plant health care needs, diagnosis, certified arborists, been around for 30 years serving. Have a great week, y'all. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you can't compare to that. 30 years almost in this area serving you guys. Arbor Art Tree and Shrub. Check them out online at arborart.net. Or, like Dean said, you can call them at 615-299-9999. That's Arbor Art Tree and Shrub.
8 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. The Tennessee Titans made 6 selections in the 2023 NFL Draft, including first-round offensive lineman Peter Skoronski, second-round quarterback Will Levis, and third-round running back Tyjae Spears. Titans general manager Ran Carthon this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will said this about Will Levis.
The one thing that really stood out about Will at his position, he's extremely tough, and extremely competitive. And I think you kind of saw some of that in his reaction, whether it was the first night of the draft or after he got the call that we were taking him, you kind of saw some of that competitive fire come out. So you feel good about him coming in and, being the best teammate he can be and competing for us.
The Braves and Mets were postponed for a second straight day yesterday. They are set to play a doubleheader beginning at 11:10 this morning. A historic upset in the NHL. The Florida Panthers, whom Ramon Foster didn't even think was a real team, defeated the Boston Bruins 4-3 in overtime of Game 7 to eliminate the Bruins in the first round. Boston had the most successful regular season in terms of points and wins in league history. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show on the Monday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues, and it's powered by our friends at All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Great conversation with Titans general manager Ran Carthon already in the books this morning. If you missed it, you can subscribe to the Ramon, Kayla, and Will podcast feed wherever you download audio. Every hour, every show, right when the show concludes at about 10:30, when you can find those conversations. Mike Tanier of Football Outsiders will be on the line with us in 15 more minutes, here with our whole crew on a Monday morning. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Jonathan Schaefer.
The best producer in the world.
My name is Will Bowling.
His name is Will Bowling.
That one got me.
Didn't
I'm not going to lie, that one got me.
Right?
We have the opinion on this show that our reaction to the intros are better when we never know when they're coming.
Facts.
We also have the opinion on this show that Jonathan Schaefer is a top 5 producer and he's not 5, 4, 3, or 2. What Jonathan Schaefer says goes.
That's good math right there, Will.
Here in this court that is in session. I feel like we haven't,
Jonathan Schaefer.
That's fair.
Sure. I feel like we haven't heard a lot from Schaefer this morning. How are you?
It's been a busy morning.
You've been answering a lot of phone calls.
I've been busy.
You have been busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I haven't
I'm
said
not
much.
taking a shot.
No. I'm just saying. It's just been a busy morning.
Okay.
That's rare.
No shots fired, Will.
At least not for this moment.
Steelers had a good draft.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Wow.
Solid. That's
They got some of your
TED
dudes,
Talk.
man.
Yeah, I know.
I said it. You didn't say it. Don't worry.
I didn't say it. That's my TED Talk on the team I was employed by.
And whether you like it or not, the Eagles.
Oh, of course.
Man, they're doing things.
I hate the Eagles.
I mean, Georgia.
So
Georgia or
Georgia
Philadelphia?
North. Georgia North.
There you go.
It's the Georgia Eagles and the Philadelphia Bulldogs. Take your pick.
Yeah.
It's just being real. When that defense is that good and those players are all 5 stars. By the way, Coach Mack sent me that. 80% of the guys tabbed as 5 stars.
Yeah.
What?
Go, keep going.
I didn't see that. Yeah, come on.
Get drafted high. The hit rate on those dudes, 80%.
Yeah.
Darnell Wright.
Yeah.
5-star.
5-star. Jalen Carter. 5-star. Nolan Smith.
Wanya Morris.
5-star. Will Anderson. 5-star.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud. 5-star. Bryce Young.
Yep.
5-star.
The people.
The kid from Clemson.
Which one?
The defensive end.
Miles Murphy.
5-star.
The people. One of my least favorite arguments in sports, and you guys know I have a lot of arguments that I don't like in sports. My least favorite argument in sports is that stars don't matter in recruiting rankings. They absolutely do.
Yeah.
And there is evidence to bear that out. Every single draft, every single national champion has 5 stars. It is literally the only sport where talent acquisition has a 1-to-1 correlation with success.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is now there's more than one way to acquire talent, including the transfer portal. But like Yeah, if you don't have 5 stars, you're not going to win in college football. And if you're a 5-star, you're going to get drafted.
If you don't have 5 stars, TCU.
Yeah, you get beat, 56-7?
Kansas State.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You might make it.
Good chance of having a really good season.
You can get there. You're not going to win it all. No shot. That's why Tennessee is still 2 or 3 years away from legitimately competing with Georgia for national championships.
Right. You got to get more of those 5 stars.
I said out loud this weekend, I'm so over Georgia already. And we ain't even playing.
We haven't even, we are scratching the surface.
Wait, are they getting to the
Foster.
point that you're more annoyed with them than Alabama?
No.
Okay.
Yes. I've always been more annoyed with them than Alabama. Are you kidding me?
No.
Alabama's at least had traditional success. Georgia hadn't won a championship since 1980. Georgia fans don't know how to deal with being on the throne like Alabama fans do.
I can appreciate Georgia because they had to go this route.
No, they were used to being on the throne because their season would go down the crapper at the end.
Yeah, they would act like they were on the throne all the time. They had the personality of Alabama with the trophy case of Kentucky for a long time. I'm not wrong.
My only hate for Georgia is just this. Why do y'all got to be in the East at this time in which we're doing decently well?
East won't exist in a year, thankfully.
That's true.
Yes, but you also got Texas and Oklahoma coming in, so let's see how that goes.
Too.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a celebrity who has joined us on the phone lines this morning.
I'm sorry, what?
This is our celebrity who's about to talk to us, talking to the city of Kansas
I know
City
who we're
over the
going
week.
with.
I feel like I know now.
Yes.
What's up, KC? I've got a message for Chiefs Kingdom and Patrick Mahomes. The Tennessee Titans and Will Levis are coming for y'all.
Just kept going.
There he is. That was Ali this weekend. Friend of the show. Ali, should we boo you while you talk to us? That way you feel back at home again?
Absolutely. It feels great to be back home.
How'd you do that without messing up? Because they were so loud.
I'm used to that. I love and I thrive in those kind of environments to get my message across. But the minute I got off stage, my God, those people hated me.
Ali, I think you're the only man that Kansas City hates more than me at this point.
I'm right there. Will, I think I might have took that reins from you.
Fine with me. The most sensitive city in America can now just attack you instead of me on Twitter on year-old tweets that I had over the weekend.
Surprisingly, Chiefs Kingdom has not found me on Twitter yet.
Oh, good.
Good.
I can change that for you if you want me to.
Feel free to. I'm still waiting for that right now, but they haven't found me yet. But the crazy part is that night when we went out, just all over KC, people were recognizing me and like, "Yo, you did a great job," from like the opposing fan bases, and then the Chiefs fans were like, "Do you really believe in Will Levis?" I'm like, "Hey, I have no choice now to not believe in him."
Facts.
That's the spirit.
Ali, I got to give you credit too, dog. Your trash talking has elevated itself from the time that you attempted to come on here to where you were on national television. Maybe your spotlight just needed to be bigger. That's all.
I mean, hey, when you and Ron Slade told me to go back and be more creative, I listened.
Respect.
It worked. It was so good.
I honestly thought you were better than McCourty because I think McCourty just took too long to get his trash talking out there. Like, I give him credit. He was trash talking, but you made it kind of short and sweet. But what you did is you kept those boos going. They never stopped.
They did not stop. The Chiefs fans that were right in front of me, they were like, "Get off, get off." I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. And I think my whole favorite part of that whole part is the mayo and the coffee.
Yeah.
People are like, nah, it's honestly very underrated. I did try it. I gave it a go. It's actually not that bad.
Interesting.
Oh my God,
Ali, how much better was Nashville's draft than Kansas City's?
That's not even a comparison.
Exactly.
It was 9 day. I mean, don't get me wrong. Casey did a great job, but the whole setup was not even comparable to what we had.
Yep.
It was, I mean, they did as good as they can with the stuff that they had, but they had a cap of like 60,000 people in the main yard the first night where they stopped letting people in.
Interesting.
So that was very odd. But otherwise, I mean, it's not even comparable to what we did here in Nashville.
As always. Ali, thank you for your service to the people of Kansas City this weekend. We enjoyed it.
Appreciate it, Ali.
That was pretty good.
Ballin K Ali on Twitter if you want to thank him, or if you're listening from Kansas City and tracking up your old tweets that I had over the weekend. You can do that as well, and just go find him there.
Is he the most hated man in Kansas City?
One of the most sensitive cities in America, I've learned over the past couple of years. We go back to the phone, 615-737-1045. Cousin Danny up next with us this morning. Hello, Danny.
What's up, Danny?
What up, fam? Hey, real quick, Auntie Kayla, Seahawks, I know it's your team. That was a hell of a draft they had. I think they did great on this one, for real.
Me too.
They've got some dogs that they got, so congrats to you for real.
Thanks. I know. I'm pumped.
Oh, yeah, you should be. But listen, I'm not here to talk slander or anything like that. I actually have some I go to a couple of Cincinnati UC Bearcat games a year with my cousin who's, it's their alma mater.
Yep.
And I saw Wiley play in person. That is like a high-point tight end receiver right there. Y'all got a dog in him, so good on that. Tajay Spears, I think, was a hell of a pick. And Colton Dowell, unlike Will Levis, he torched the UT secondary. So good on you guys for getting him too. So I'll tell you right now, that's a hell of a guy right there. I'm looking forward to the Titans-Bengals game this year, seeing some of those guys on the field. But man, I got to tell y'all, as a professional football fan and amateur analyst, I had a hell of a weekend. This was a fun draft, more trades than ever, a lot of great players. Bengals crushed it. Titans, I mean, I give you guys a solid B, and that's what I'm grading my Bengals at too. I'd question the Levis pick in its entirety, but I still think that Skoronski and Wiley and Colton Dowell and Tajay Spears, those are guys that can do a lot of stuff for your franchise for a long time. So, y'all, May 18th or something like that is the next day that matters in the NFL when they drop the schedule, and then it's the freaking high desert with not a damn thing to talk about for a while. So I'm sure we'll all get our opinions on Will Levis out sooner or later.
Yep.
Y'all be good. Love you.
Thank you, Danny.
We got all summer, folks.
Appreciate the call. Let's go to one more phone call before we get to Mike Tanier on the other side. Let's go to Jesse in Pleasant View, who's been hanging on to talk with us this morning. What's up, Jesse?
Morning, Jesse.
Hey, good morning. I just wanted to talk about a couple of things. First being the Will Levis pick. I feel as if the fan base is overreacting a little bit. I think that they went with the best pick that they saw available at QB. And to me, it's like people forget about his 2021 season and that he has shown to be a potential high-quality quarterback. And then, honestly, the wide receiver situation, I feel like it was disrespectful that the front office showed us with not addressing the wide receiver situation was more value than a seventh-rounder. I mean, Vrabel seemed to be upset when he had his "who are we going to throw it to" quote, but now it just feels like all smoke and mirrors. How happy they looked in that draft room with the little smile and waving clips. It just feels disrespectful and shows a lack of care at this point to me. I mean, come on. A running back in the third round with ACL issues, I get he's a stud, but I really just don't understand it. And if they're listening to this, I hope that they give us more of an explanation soon. And thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Jesse.
We got to go to break.
Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead, man. I know where you're going.
I was just going to say, this is the separator right here. The front office owes you nothing.
They're not.
They don't owe you anything. The idea that they were trolling or mocking, I don't think that was the case. I think they chose a random, hey, wave at the camera type of celebration. If it was trolling, guess what, man? They're still your team. You got to trust them and lead you to get those right players, man. And also, again, I know a player, very famous player that didn't have ACLs, Hines Ward, didn't realize it till he got to, I think, the combine invite is where he found out he didn't have ACLs. Had a very productive career at Georgia and a very productive career in the NFL. There's your case study right there. The kid, Will, how big of a game did he have in the bowl game?
Well, he's played 26 games in the last 2 seasons. I understand having trepidation about a kid not having an ACL that you draft in the third round, but I think that's different than having an ACL issue like Titans players had hamstring issues last year.
Right.
And missed games. Honestly, if you make it work and you play the games and you're on the field, that's what matters ultimately in this thing. And he's played 26 games in the past 2 seasons, and he's had 30 touchdowns in the process.
Right. And who else didn't have an ACL?
Hines Ward didn't. And my thing is this: if you think they're trolling you, goodness,
They're not trolling.
You got to reassess how much GMs and head coaches care about what fans think on Twitter.
Just real quickly, I thought they just had a moment of levity and just waved to the camera, and it was just a funny, comical moment. I was really surprised to see everybody going, "Oh, they're trolling us."
It's ridiculous.
Y'all, you're not that important in that moment. They're not trolling you in that moment. Sorry.
Yeah,
that's just reading way too much into that.
They're thinking about a lot of things in that draft room, and I promise you, Titans Twitter is not one of them. Not one of them. Plus, Twitter is what, 1% of real life?
And it may not even be Vrabel running his account.
Well, yeah. Well, this was just him waving at the camera.
Yeah, I'm just saying in general, like Twitter responses.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm going overall
Is
Twitter
there such
response.
thing as just having fun? Maybe him and Vrabel were just having fun because they enjoy each other.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike the last.
Coming up next, Mike Tanier joins us. Mike Tanier of Football Outsiders. We'll ask him if he's willing to play wide receiver for the Titans. Coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
If you have a wet basement or crawl space, it's time to call United Structural Systems. We've all heard about these guys for a long time and for good reasons. They've served Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they've helped thousands of satisfied residential customers in that time. They are the go-to company when it comes to foundation repair and waterproofing. And if you have a wet basement or crawl space, you don't have to put up with that. Water intrusion and moisture can give you all sorts of problems down the road, and you want to get this fixed. It can be because you have poor drainage, surface water flooding over the walls, or underwater pressure forcing water into your basement, or it could be a plumbing leak. You just don't know. But the team at United Structural Systems will find out why you have a wet basement or crawl space and will give you a plan to fix it. And if you do decide to move forward, you don't have to pay a dime until the work is done and you are satisfied. So get that free estimate from the people I trust. Go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com, or call them 615-227-2275. United Structural Systems.
Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, and it's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. As we head to the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline once again today and check in with our good friend Mike Tanier, covering the NFL for Football Outsiders. What's up, Mike? How are you?
I'm doing well. Am I really coming on right after the general manager?
You are, and quite honestly, there are a lot of fans that would much rather hear you than him based on the Will Levis pick over the weekend.
It's like the rebuttal by the junior congressman from Nowheresville after the president gets the speech.
Well, Mike, I guess the first question is, are you willing to play wide receiver for the Titans this year? Because they've got openings.
I may be the third fastest person in that room, which is saying something, because I did 5 minutes on the treadmill this morning, and I was exhausted. But, yeah, you come right into the my number one concern about the Will Levis selection. Not necessarily Levis himself in the second round. At that point, you're taking a chance, sort of a measured risk. But who's he throwing to? Who's anybody throwing to on this Titans team?
Yeah, when you look at this, though, Mike, do you say to yourself, in today's NFL, the best way to derail your season is to not have a backup, a quarterback, that is, despite anything else? Is that why the Will Levis pick was probably made?
Well, I don't worry about my season getting derailed by not having a backup quarterback when I'm not really sure I have a starting quarterback. And that's like a little left-handed jab at Ryan Tannehill, but what – we've sort of peaked with the Tannehill situation. I think fans there realize that it was time for the quarterback of the future. And I don't see Levis as just this backup you bring in. If you're just bringing the backup in, you don't do it in the second round. You go out there and you grab Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold. You try to do with it. This is the quarterback of the future. And I do not look at this roster right now and see a competitive playoff team. And that's fine. I'm kind of at peace with that because I feel like the Titans have needed a rebuild for a year. Last year was kind of the wake-up call. The problem is I don't see like a very clear and logical rebuilding plan either because, the Levis is sort of like a compromise solution. The skill position talent is still particularly weak, and they didn't do a lot of things to really, really help themselves this weekend.
So when you look at this roster, and if that being the case, how do you put a team out there that's going to compete with Jacksonville and Houston and Indy then? That's the next question I have for you because you mentioned no wide receivers earlier. And, no Tannehill, honestly, is being competitive. How do you parse this team together going into the fall?
Well, you can say defense, and you can say, well, they should be able to produce some sacks. You hope that some of the guys come around, some of the younger players in the secondary that kind of waiting to really break out and like they take another step forward. You get defense, you get the offensive line solidified. Now you've got this 1-2 punch at running back and say, yeah, you're going to be this sort of old-fashioned ground and pound team. And I could get behind that more if they added more on defense. If they added another edge, if they added another piece of secondary, they didn't do that. And of course they did their best with the offensive line. I think Skoronski's a heck of a player. I like Jalen Duncan. That's good. I understand that. But what I just described, like the defense and Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears now, that's a 7-win team. That's an 8-win team, even in the AFC South, which is more competitive than it has been in the past.
So when it comes down to this Titans offense and how they're building up this team, rebuilding this team, whatever you want to call it, what method are you seeing moving forward? Is it still run first with the way this team is operating? And also, is that a little behind all things NFL in today's game?
It's a lot behind all things NFL. And, I probably could have gotten a little more behind it because the Titans had success with it when Derrick Henry was a little less past his odometer time a little bit, and when the offensive line was a little bit more together. So, again, I can see Skoronski in there. If Dillard pans out at left tackle, I'm from Philly. We waited 4 years for that. It didn't happen. You can say that offensive line is in place. Now you've got this 1-2 punch. You can try to build that. But, again, it's behind the times. It's the kind of thing the Patriots have done for a couple of years. They've tried to do it, and the Patriots are the kings of this sort of thing. It's Bill Belichick. He'll build the best defense you can possibly make. He'll build the best offensive line. He'll bring in the best coaches, not last year, but in general. And it gets you to 9 wins. It gets you to 10 wins, and then you're constantly rebuilding. It's not a plan for success in today's NFL.
So we did ask Rand about this specifically, but they didn't draft, obviously, a player on defense in this draft. So 6 picks, all on the offensive side of the ball. When it comes down to it, this team has always kind of prided themselves on their defensive look and how they, prepare and who they bring in here. So Do you think that was just them playing the board, that it didn't end up that way? Or do you really think that they just had to load up on offense and that's why?
I think later on they were playing the board. I think Skoronski's there. You have to take him. I think Levis is there in the second round. You move up. Yeah, you have to try and address this. Again, I don't hate that as a concept because it's a measured risk. And then later on, I don't necessarily get it. And again, I'm trying to look at this defense. Obviously, you got Jeffrey Simmons there. Kevin Byard can still play. I'm trying to put together like a top 5 defense out of it. I can't. I can see a top 15 defense. I can see maybe a top 10 defense. I can't see that defense that you can say, hey, this is fine. The final score every week is going to be 20-13, and we're going to get some wins. I think they would have needed some pieces, second-day pieces at the very least, to kind of go in there and reinforce that.
So when you talk about the 3 quarterbacks, because there are now 3, Mike Vrabel said on Saturday in the press conference that Ryan Tannehill was their number 1 guy. Malik Willis right now is number 2. And the rookie, Will Levis, will be number 3 with every opportunity for him to work his way into a starting spot either this year or in years to come. How do you really see this playing out in terms of the competition in this room?
I feel like the Malik Willis era ended when Josh Dobbs showed up with his suitcase and became the starter in like 45 minutes. And again, I don't want to be negative to Willis. I like Willis coming out. I hope for it. Every indication is that there's not a lot of momentum behind his career. He's somebody who could potentially be traded, et cetera. So I think Levis will be pushed into the number 2 spot as the summer moves on. As for the number 1 spot, what I saw out of Levis, I cannot see him overtaking Ryan Tannehill in September. I cannot see that. That is not the caliber of prospect he is. I don't think that if it's a fair competition, that's how it goes. It will be a matter of time before we see the sort of, deteriorating Tannehill skill-wise, the possibly now banged-up Tannehill later in his career. The fact that with this receiving core, everyone's going to struggle, I think it'll be sometime September, October. They'll say, hey, the future is now. Let's let the young man come in and get his rookie lumps.
Wow. Mike Tanier, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Mike, between Indianapolis and Houston, who else got the closest to Jacksonville in the front of the AFC South over the weekend?
I would go with Indianapolis because, it's arguable that Houston helped themselves more. Okay, they helped themselves more. They got C.J. Stroud, the more ready-to-play quarterback, got Will Anderson. They had farther to go. They had just farther to go because if you look up and down that roster, it's like Looney Tunes lower on that roster. And they lost some guys to free agency, et cetera, whereas the Colts had sort of like the makings of a team that could make the playoffs at a lot of positions. And then you get out there, and they added a lot of guys. I like my draft grades are not quite up yet. They're finishing editing right now. But Julius Brents was one of my favorite players. Josh Downs obviously was a guy who slipped, who I think Titans fans have been looking like, well, why don't we get Josh Dobbs? Why don't we grab Josh Downs? Excuse me. Why didn't we grab him? The young man out of Bourway is a heck of a player, et cetera. Then you look at Anthony Richardson. It's like, well, he is not as ready to play as C.J. Stroud, but you can get him ready. You can see him out there running the zone read for a couple of weeks and making that team a team that's going to be a tough out, going to be dangerous every week. And then you can say, well, if Richardson does develop a team, it's going to be a real problem in 2024. Mm-hmm.
So, Mike, do the Philadelphia Eagles now also have to pay the royalties to the Green Bay Packers to use their G on their helmet this season with the amount of Georgia players that they drafted?
Change their colors.
But that they were showing on day 3 of the draft, they had the dog rescue there, and they had Rich Eisen and everybody holding all these puppies. We had Howie Roseman with like a handful of dogs, a handful of bulldogs in his hand to complete the look there. But yeah, I am based out of Philadelphia, or as we now call it, Athens, Georgia. We're all listening to REM and the B-52s all the time. At least people my age are. I think it's a good strategy. I think it's a logical strategy. Now, it got a little weird and memey and cute by the end there. We had to go get DeAndre Swift as well. But, set aside the fact that they're all from Georgia, look at these guys. Look at what Jalen Carter can be if he's motivated and he's with the program. Yeah. Look at what Nolan Smith can be if he's a little bit like Trayvon Walker was, where it's like, well, his sack totals are low because there's only so many sacks to go around. Look at Sidney Brown, by the way, is a guy I think is a phenomenal safety. Eagles fans are going to love him here. They're going to embrace him. It's like a tiny Brian Dawkins. Unbelievable draft class for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mike, by the way, I was in Philadelphia over the weekend and had my first Pats experience. 10 out of 10.
Wow, congratulations. Did you get cheese whiz and oil down the front of your shirt?
So I did cheat because I actually got provolone on it, and I know that's cheating, but I did do that and enjoyed it quite a bit.
You have your cheesesteak your way. There is no cheating. Pat's is the Cheese Whiz cheesesteak. The place down the street from me, it's provolone. Sometimes it's American. There's a million ways to enjoy a cheesesteak.
Fantastic.
Just don't use a knife and fork.
Yes,
Right.
no, of course not.
Oh,
That's
my.
psychopathic behavior.
That's weird.
Weird.
Mike, Ryan also spoke about the idea that this roster isn't finished. Vrabel said it over the weekend, too, just to get back to the Titans wide receiver room that you're a wide receiver 3 in right now. The idea that you can go get some talent, and they said this from the other leagues, the USFL and the XFL. Where are you at on that ideal? How productive and competitive do you see that being shopping in those leagues?
I think it's a good idea. Now, I've not watched a lot of XFL, USFL, so many hours in the day when you're preparing for the draft, but every good GM should be doing this. These are guys that are playing at a level that I would say is, a notch above the college level, or most colleges. Maybe it's not a Georgia, Alabama level, but it's up there. So go out and do that, and that's what you want to hear from your general manager. No stone unturned, et cetera. I haven't looked at what's left in the free agent class. I haven't looked at what the Titans brought in as rookie free agents. This is what they have to do, because I think there are bottom of the roster spots. There are wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 positions, tight end 3, things like that the Titans would benefit from getting an XFL guy, a USFL guy, a straight free agent right now.
And your way too early prediction of the Titans, man, as it stands in the offseason, before camp, before injuries, before all those types of things unfold, where do the Titans sit, in your opinion, in the AFC South post-draft?
They are a 7 or 8 win team. They are too well coached. They've got too many upfront good guys to completely fall off and become a tank team by any stretch of the imagination. They do not have nearly what it takes on paper to compete with that level that's up there with the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs and the Bengals and whoever you want to put in that level. They're not on that tier, and they're really not in a great position to even stay on the tier right below them.
Can you stomach a situation in which the fan base can deal with it? Vrabel safe enough through it? Because let's not forget, I think 2 or 3 years after Doug Peterson won Coach of the Year, he was out in Philly. So how do you parse rebuild, losing to win in the draft later type of mindset?
There has to be a demonstration of growth by these young players. And Mike Vrabel will be fine. He'll have some benefit of the doubt. He deserves some benefit of the doubt. If, this was a 7-8 win season, Levis came in and showed promise. The new offensive lineman stepped in and the line played well, which means Henry had another good year and Spears came in and was helpful. The defense, they discovered guys. They stayed in the top 15. All of that's fine. If you're showing development, you're showing progress, and you're showing that everyone's with the program, he'll be fine. Peterson, it was a weird situation here in Philadelphia because there was friction with Carson Wentz and all these other things, and he kind of snuck out the back door when he was just tired of the situation. I don't think that's the kind of thing you have to worry about in Tennessee.
One more thing from me. If you had the choice at that spot where the Titans were in the second round, would you have taken Levis or Hendon Hooker?
I would have taken Hendon Hooker.
Okay. Why?
I actually, on my Hooker scouting report, compared him to the young Ryan Tannehill. The Ryan Tannehill, when he came out, he was a converted wide receiver. I think he was a year or two older than the other prospects. He wasn't 25, but he might have been 23. He was unpolished, but he was a really good runner. He was a really good thrower. And people even talked about the offense back then. He was, I think, Texas A&M, one of those really high-flying offenses. Yep. All of that combined was this is a guy who could come in, assuming he's healthy, and do the things. Tannehill, for a lot of his career, was like a second, third-tier quarterback. You get him into a better system, and if you really trust your coaching staff, you can get him to have some of those years he had with Tennessee early in his career.
There he is, Mike Tanier, always bringing it here with us on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. You can find him on Twitter at Mike Tanier. Mike, we appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you at training camp in a Titans uniform in that wide receiver room.
Can't wait. My gray beard, whiskers, and dad bod will fit in perfectly.
Perfect. There he is, Mike Tanier with us on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Always bringing good stuff and dropping the truth bomb at the end there that he thinks Hendon Hooker would have been a better quarterback than Will Levis here.
That's interesting. I'll say this: both quarterbacks in similar situations. Depending on who gets the shot first, I think Hendon may be up, and I think Levis may be up also at some point in time. So this comparison should be case by case.
It'll keep going for a while.
Yeah, it is. Boy, if that fear of missing out could be real.
Unfairly or fairly, whatever it is, quarterbacks in the same draft class are always compared throughout their entire careers. But I think especially here, hyper-locally in Nashville, Hendon Hooker and Will Levis will always be compared.
I'm hoping they start at the same time. I'm hoping we see them go against each other. I'm hoping they do training camp against one another.
Well, and what we will see in the AFC South is probably potentially all those young quarterbacks playing at the same time. That could be something crazy.
We'll definitely
Who comes
see,
out the best there, right?
We'll see Stroud and Richardson this year, that's for sure. 615-737-1045. Back to the phone lines when we come back. You can join us there, react to the Titans draft over the weekend. You can react with us for the rest of the show. We are open. 615-737-1045 here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 1045 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster from My PhD Weight Loss. You guys have heard me brag about this company, this team, my coach for a while now, man, and it's really paying off. And I'll just say this too. There are so many people that ask me questions about it and so many people that want to do it, but it's all a matter on you and when you want to get it started. I'm telling you, should ASAP. The folks I know that have started have been satisfied with it. I have been satisfied with it so much so I'm going to brag just a little bit. Your guy went down to a size 42 pants. Now, I hadn't been that size since high school, just so you know. That XL T-shirt I was telling y'all about, had it on this past weekend. Feeling real good about the progress I'm making because these are the results that My PhD Weight Loss will have for you. On average, most male clients lose between 3 to 5 pounds a week, and most female clients lose between 2 to 3 pounds a week, and it does actually happen if you follow the plan. You have a weekly coach to guide you. You know what? I was a little off this week. Well, Ramon, this is how you can get back. You know what? I'm going out of town this weekend. Well, this is what you need to prepare for. There's always an option for you. And guess what? This isn't one of those when somebody's just there to spank your hand if you have a bad day or something. No, this is a guide for you to help you get through this weight loss journey because it's worth it in the end. This is something that's been interesting to you to get started. Visit My PhD Weight Loss for sure. And be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
I think they're all good football players. I think they all bring something, refreshing to their respective positions. But more than anything, they're good people, people that we got the opportunity to spend time with, that we really got to know, and feel like that, they have the qualities of what we want a Titan to be.
There he is, Randy Carthon, with us earlier this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. Attendance numbers for the NFL Draft in Kansas City have come out.
Yep.
312,000 in Kansas City. So congratulations to Kansas City on being the first crowd to make it to the halfway point of Nashville's attendance numbers.
You're such a troll.
In 2019.
I'll troll on this one, too,
you.
all day.
Adorable.
I'll troll on this one.
Only because that city hates me.
It's not even that. Look, it's Kansas City. No one wants to be in Kansas City. Ever.
Exactly.
It's
So then
Kansas
don't
City.
put the NFL draft in Kansas City because you know where it is next year? Detroit.
But they're going to keep
no issue with
passing it
that.
around. That's fine. It's fine.
No, I actually, Kayla and I think are making different points. I have no issue with it going there.
Oh,
Their
I
fan
do.
base is great.
Yeah.
They're just sensitive and they hate me. So now I'm going to troll them back.
As you should.
This is about me as always. I'm kidding.
Thank you. 849.
No, Kansas City did an okay job.
It's the second biggest
Yeah.
crowd. They did a great job.
It didn't last throughout the whole weekend necessarily like it did in Nashville.
Right.
Like the crowd kind of dispersed after
It was a nice
the first night.
picnic on like Saturday evening,
Yeah,
Sunday. It was
it's
a
like
nice
chill.
picnic.
It was cute.
Yeah,
It was chill. But the energy wasn't half as what it was in Nashville.
Right.
It's an adorable crowd.
It was adorable.
Just saying.
Bless their hearts. 615-737-1045. I did love Jason McCourty saying we have better barbecue than they do.
Yeah.
Well,
I was in Philly.
His trash talk was okay, but it was way too long.
it was way too
He
long.
was trying to do the Pat McAfee thing
and
that he did here.
But here's the thing. Don't try to be Pat McAfee because there's only one Pat
Yeah.
McAfee.
That's right.
And I'm not always the biggest Pat McAfee fan, but he's really good at what he does. So
I laughed over the weekend in the Philadelphia airport at the place I got a Philly cheesesteak, which was my second of the weekend. There was a place that had a Nashville hot chicken cheesesteak.
What?
I don't know about
I might
that.
have tried
That's not even a cheesesteak.
Yeah, I know. It was like
That's
Nashville
chicken.
hot style. I was like, what?
Yeah, let's not do that.
That's a chicken steak.
Let's not do that.
I might have tried it.
Like, wait.
You know
Oh,
what
no,
though,
baby,
But
what
I
is you
think-
doing?
I think that trend's starting to. I think that's going to start dying down.
It
pretty
has.
soon. Yeah. It
Which
has
one? The hot chicken?
Yes.
It
The
being nationwide.
Nashville hot chicken and the hot chicken. I think both of those trends are starting to slow down a little bit.
Yeah,
You're
when
just
like
hungry.
KFC had one, and
I'm
then
super hungry.
you had like
No idea how
O'Charlie's
hungry
dropped
I
one. O'Charlie's based out of here, though.
Yeah, it is.
I love
Knoxville,
it.
right?
Kayla,
Don't
I
they-
can
No
eat
free
my
shots.
left arm right now.
I
I'm
was
that
going to
hungry.
say, this has got to be kicking in there, Shafe.
Oh,
the
it kicked in
diet.
about 3 days ago. But I was
Yeah.
down 6 pounds in a week, so I'm
There
doing
you
it.
go.
Hey, I can see it on you already, Shave. Way to go, baby.
I was sneaky fat.
Slim
We're
Shafee.
working on it.
Slim
I'll
Shafee.
totally go Slim Shafee.
I like that.
I'm all
Well, the
in
real
on that.
Slim
The
Shafee,
Slim
please
Shafee.
stand up. Now we can get Rhett Bryan to help us, or maybe Robert Walsh as well, to make you an intro. Besides just Slay
No,
saying
but
the
that's
best producer in the
No,
world.
but that's the intro though for me though. But I mean, that's the thing for me.
Okay.
That's
I
his
mean, I'm
thing.
not opposed to having an intro, but that's already my branded thing, so I don't want to change that.
Okay. Well, sorry.
Because
had you
I
with my
can't tell.
friendship.
No, I appreciate it. But what I'm saying is that, wow, I'm glad you made it about you again. But what I like is people come up to me and be like, "And the world, Craig."
Oh, that's great.
Which is all just Mike in Cleveland. He gets full marks for that because he made that recommendation.
Yeah,
Brownsy
he did.
in Cleveland up there. Let's go to Chuck in Clarksville before we get to the final break in hour 3. Good morning, Chuck.
Chuck.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, just a quick comparison on some of these guys. I kind of like the draft. I look at Skronsky as a Zach Martin type player.
Yep.
I look at Will Levis as a kind of if Ryan Tannehill and Josh Allen had a baby. And I look at Spears as kind of a Tony Pollard, and Wiley as a kind of a George Kittle. Don't have much for the other two. Maybe the last guy is kind of a former Notre Dame Giant wide receiver kind of a guy. But, other than that, I think overall it's a solid draft class. I mean, when Mel Kiper gives you a B+, I think you've done something pretty good. And with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning saying they really like Will Levis, that's pretty much good enough for me. So I'm okay with it.
That's fair.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
Ramon did mention earlier NFL.com giving the Titans an A-. Pro Football Talk or Pro Football Focus we don't really care about Pro Football Talk after they thought DeAndre Hopkins was coming here. Pro Football Focus giving the Titans an A. That is the interesting part of this. And we said earlier in the week that draft grades do not matter, and we're not going to humor that conversation today because we should do that in 3 years. So honestly, if you want to tune in later for our 2020 draft grades, it's probably about time to do those.
That's
but
fair.
It is interesting to the conversation that I feel like a lot of Titans fans I talked to on Saturday would give this team an F just because they draft Will Levis, which is unfair.
I know we got some stuff coming up, but why don't you like it? It's the question I have. You can tweet us, whatever you want to call in. Why don't you like this class?
615-737-1045. If you are giving the Titans a C or worse for this draft class, give us a good reason why. Coming up next, it's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 1045 The Zone.
9 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. The Tennessee Titans over the weekend, including last Thursday, 6 selections in the 2023 NFL Draft, including first-round offensive lineman Peter Skoronski, second-round quarterback Will Levis, and third-round running back Tanier Spears. Ran Carthon earlier today on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on some of the positive characteristics of Will Levis.
Well, Will is a, big, strong guy, has a strong arm. He's run NFL offenses, whether it was under Liam Cohen or Rich Gangarello. They ran NFL-style offenses. So from a comprehension standpoint, he understands NFL concepts, and he's executed NFL concepts. But, the one thing that really stood out about Will at his position, he's extremely tough, and extremely competitive.
That was Ran Carthon today. The Braves and Mets were postponed for a second straight day yesterday, set to play a doubleheader beginning at 11:10 this morning. A historic upset in the NHL yesterday. The Florida Panthers, who Ramon Foster didn't even know was a team, defeated the Boston Bruins 4-3 in overtime of Game 7 to eliminate the Bruins, who had the most successful regular season in league history. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour on the Monday morning edition. It is Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Coming up, we revisit our conversation with Titans general manager Ran Carthon this morning. What he has to say about why Will Levis was chosen in the second round, and the relative athletic score that is making the rounds on social media. The interesting conversation about kinds of prospects that we now know are Ran Carthon types for the Titans. We certainly learned a lot about that over the weekend. A larger conversation as the week continues here on the show, as a new week begins here with 4 hours this morning. Alongside Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, Jonathan Schaefer, our producer.
The best producer in the world! Of the world, Craig. The world.
I'm Will Bowling as we go back to the phone lines and begin with Donna at the start of hour number 4. What's up, Donna?
What's up, Donna?
Hey, guys. So, closely. Big Mike, we're fans. Fans cheer, talk mess, and complain. That's what we do. That's our role. That's like our only role. Cheering on our team and worrying about our team and complaining. And so I don't know what he's talking about. Quit whining. That's what we do. Secondly, guys, I don't like the Will Levis pick at all. And I'm a dumb jock. I play multiple sports at a high level, but I am also a nerd. I read sci-fi fantasy books, and this reeks of sorcery. This reeks of sorcery. Will Levis has ensorcelled people who don't know what they're talking about, like myself and everyone else. Because if you look at the draft grade on CBS Sports, we got an A- for moving up. I was hoping we'd move up and get Henry Hooker, but we got an A-. But then when you look at the comments, it would, well, he needs to work on being a decision maker, his footwork and accuracy, but he's got a big arm. And then, not meaning to be glib, but to be glib, also he's super competitive. That's sorcery, guys. The 3 most important things that a starting quarterback needs on any team is decision making, footwork, and accuracy. I don't get it. I don't get it, and I don't know what they see. Ran Carthon, said that he has the ability to understand the NFL concept, the NFL offense. So it's clearly they believe they can coach him up. But Hendon Hooker, for those two best quarterbacks who are left, personally is a better quarterback. He is more ready to get in there and do this. And I just think that Will Levis has superpowers. I'm out.
Thank you, Donna. Appreciate the call. Jonathan Schaefer?
What do you want from that? I mean, you sit there and be like, well, that's whining. We complain. That's what we do. That's fine because you're fans and you've paid the capital both in terms of financial and sweat equity to do that. You're also allowed to get called out.
Yeah.
That's true.
Again, I think the difference is Hendon Hooker doesn't fit this style of offense that the Titans run.
In Rand Carthon's opinion, I believe that's correct.
And that ain't a knock against Hendon. That's kind of what I got from it.
Yeah, you can compliment a player without then insulting another player. This was Rand Carthon's quote on Will Levis, fitting an NFL system.
But, Will is a, big, strong guy, has a strong arm. He's run NFL offenses, whether it was under Liam Cohen or Rich Gangarello. They ran NFL-style offenses. So from a comprehension standpoint, he understands NFL concepts and he's executed NFL concepts. But, the one thing that really stood out about Will at his position, he's extremely tough, and extremely competitive. And I think you kind of saw some of that in his reaction, whether it was the first night of the draft or after he got the call that we were taking him, you kind of saw some of that competitive fire come out. So you feel good about him coming in and, being the best teammate he can be and competing for us.
So there's Rand Carthon on Will Levis, and I want to pair that with some news and analysis from Peter King in his Football Morning in America column earlier this morning. Who notes, over the past 2 years since the 2021 draft, the AFC South has completely overhauled the most important position in the game. There's a good chance all of the quarterbacks in the AFC South will be 24 or younger sometime this year. Writing Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, and Will Levis. Now, the end of this is where the headline is. Peter King writing, Levis may get a redshirt year if the Titans keep Ryan Tannehill or Malik Willis as starter, but I'd expect him to start sometime this year in Nashville.
I'm actually curious about that more so in Indy, like with Anthony Richardson, because I just think, if anything, that's the guy that has the most development to have in terms of being a starter on an NFL team. Like, that's the thing I'm questioning about them the most up in Indy is he really going to be their starter day one, or is Minshew going to be the guy? With Levis, I say I don't think he's going to play this year if Ryan Tannehill's here, unless Ryan Tannehill gets hurt.
Yeah.
I think Will Levis plays this year. Absolutely.
If I'm Ryan Tannehill, I try my best to pull an Aaron Rodgers.
In what way? Explain.
Just crush it and play.
Okay.
And if you do, the Titans benefit. And if you do, you get more time to groom Will Levis.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do. Best case scenario. If you're a Titans fan, I go that route.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think Peter King is right, though. I do think you see.
So why do you
Levis
think he plays,
at some
though?
point. Who? Why I think he plays?
Yeah.
Why would I fully invest in a guy that I know is not going to
So
be
you're
here
just going to
next
bench
year?
Ryan?
I'll say this. There's always a way to find a reason to get your guy in. I've seen this.
What if Ryan's
I was
playing
in that
great football
situation
this
before,
year?
too. I was in that situation before. We had a young guy, David DeCastro, and I've said this time and time again. Nobody was really playing bad. Nobody. I wasn't playing bad in the offensive line. But when you got a guy that you know going to be your guy moving forward, you find a way to move over. For me, I kind of I didn't fall into a situation. I was prepared for when another guy that had just paid the year before got injured. In that injury of his, I displayed my talent.
Sure,
and
but
then
that's an
pushed the
injury.
other guy out. But the
That's
point
not
of
what
it
I'm
all
asking
is when you know you have a guy that's going to end up being your
Sure.
future, you find any way.
Okay, so if the Titans
to
are
put him in.
winning football games and Ryan Tannehill's playing really good, I'm putting out this because it could be a situation. You're going to bench him at that point and put Levis in just to see at that
If
point where
Tannehill's
Levis
playing
is.
well, you can't bench
Okay,
him.
that was
Yeah,
that was
you
the
can't
answer
bench
I
him.
was.
But if there's a lull in his
Yes.
season,
Oh, yeah. Of
But
course.
again, it's a win-win still for the Titans because you're getting the best Ryan Tannehill that you don't have to commit to.
Well, answer this, though. Did Ryan Tannehill play well last year by your standards?
No, he didn't. Just to throw that out, stats say he didn't. But you also say to yourself, well, what's the entire picture? Ryan Tannehill was injured.
I think up until he got hurt, he played well.
Yeah, that's the question that you guys, we all need to answer then is what is considered well enough for Ryan Tannehill to keep his job this year?
Winning games.
Not turning the ball over.
Yeah. And he wasn't, Moan. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
I think it's all about the wins and losses because I think if this team is 3-6, if this team is 2-5, doesn't matter how well or poorly Ryan Tannehill is playing. At that point, you have to look around the division and realize how realistic it is to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not start tanking by putting Will Levis in, but when the stakes change a little bit, you're going to be more incentivized to just see what you've got. The kid's 24, and they clearly feel like he's read NFL offenses and read the style of play executed, was Ren Carthon's exact word, an NFL-style offense. That doesn't scream, hey, we're going to let this guy sit for a year and learn the way the NFL works and then go to him. That, to me, says, no, we think this guy can help us right away.
Yeah.
You're still paying Tannehill, too.
And if you're going to go to Will Levis, you might as well save $17 million in the process.
Next. Do you see a scenario?
Yes.
In which they're without Ryan Tannehill before the season kicks off?
I do now. I don't think it's likely, but I see the scenario.
Even though Mike Vrabel said in camp, Ryan Tannehill is going to be our number one.
That.
Of course.
He did say that.
Things change. Things change really quickly.
What has to happen for Tannehill? I mean, for Levis to get this opportunity? Like, is it OTAs? Is it minicamp? Is it
training camp?
It's training camp.
I think he has to outplay Ryan Tannehill in training camp to give himself the opportunity to start when Ryan Tannehill started in 2019. You're looking at, I think, what is very similar to Mariota Tannehill now. I remember when Ryan Tannehill was brought in here behind Marcus, the conversation was, well, he's probably going to play at some point this year.
Yeah.
And you know that if by week 8 things have gone south, which they had, you've got a break glass in case of emergency plan. It was Ryan Tannehill. Now it's Will Levis.
Mariota straight lost that starting spot because he was dog poo.
Well, the whole team was.
No offense to Marcus.
The offensive line was, too.
You had
it
no
wasn't
choice
all
but
his
to put
fault.
Ryan in.
But, I mean, you got shut out by the Broncos.
Yeah, they put him in.
And
Right.
this team also, I just want to say this, too. There's not much grace given when you lose 7 in a row and you lose the AFC South. So all things that worked for you, you got to kind of put that on the back table so you figure out what's in front of you right now. And right now it's competition between Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis and what this offensive scheme is going to look like. Tajay Spears being a part of this, I think, is a bigger question mark than almost anything else moving forward. The one thing you say is a 3-down back.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's not really a big-time 3-down back? Derek, with the way you got to scheme up with him. 3rd down, if Derek's in, you probably think it's screen, unless it's 3rd and short. Let's be honest about that.
What are you getting at here? That Derek?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, the identity of this offense moving forward is bigger than just Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis. I think it's also Derek and how this offense needs to evolve a little bit, too. And Derek's an avatar.
Is he
I'm not
here more than a
dogging or
year?
dissing. Derek, Rand loves running backs. We just heard it.
Yeah, that's a larger conversation for another day.
It is, because he said it, too. Until I see a decline in 22, why are we talking about 22?
Yep. And I agree. I do.
Even I got to take a back seat on that one.
This team's going to have multiple drafts to replace the level of production that just Derrick Henry gives them.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up, Rand Carthon on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. If you missed our conversation with the general manager, another chance to hear what he had to say about Will Levis, about his plans for the wide receiver position moving forward, and about it being on site the next time he sees Ramon Foster. That's next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Kayla and Ramon from Window Nation. Guess what, Moan?
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yeah.
I have some amazing news when it comes to Window Nation. Get excited. It's the
Tell us
1st
about
of
it.
May, and we got some good news for you. You can modernize and reinvest in your home today with new windows from Window Nation, all with their best deal of the year, people. Get 0% financing for 5 years. Completely unheard of, 0 interest for 5 years. On top of that, Window Nation will actually give you 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. You can, of course, protect and increase the value of your home. That we all want to do that right now. You can check it out at windownation.com.
For sure. You can save up to 30% on your energy bills with the changing of your windows. Increase the value of your home by up to $12,000. Yeah, jealous neighbors will be all around you, okay? And Window Nation has installed nearly 2 million windows with 96% perfection, making them one of the top window companies in the country, okay? And the average installer, you want to know why they're able to do that, has over 16 years of experience with over 20,000 windows installed. This is one of the best investments you can do to your home and make your neighbors jealous, as Kayla said earlier. Again, call them at 866-90-NATION or go online to windownation.com.
It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here on 104.5 The Zone. As we sit down with Tennessee Titans General Manager Ran Carthon live this morning. If you missed that conversation, well, here you go. You can hear it right now on 104.5 The Zone. Here is the GM with us on RKW. Wanted to just start with your view of the entire class you brought in here for your first draft class in Tennessee. As you reflect on the guys you made Titans over the weekend, wanted to just start with your view of the entire class you brought in here for your first draft class in Tennessee. As you reflect on the guys you made Titans over the weekend, what do you like the most about this class?
First and foremost, I think they're all good football players. I think they all bring something, refreshing to their respective positions. But more than anything, they're good people, people that we got the opportunity to spend time with, that we really got to know, and feel like that, they have the qualities of what we want a Titan to be.
Well, Rand, I'm going to start at the quarterback position because that's where the conversation often begins at a draft class when you add a QB. What did you see in Will Levis in 2021 that made you believe in his ability to maybe overcome some of the struggles he had in 2022?
Well, Will is a, big, strong guy, has a strong arm. He's run NFL offenses, whether it was under Liam Cohen or Rich Gangarello. They ran NFL-style offenses. So from a comprehension standpoint, he understands NFL concepts and he's executed NFL concepts. But, the one thing that really stood out about Will at his position, he's extremely tough, and extremely competitive. And I think you kind of saw some of that in his reaction, whether it was the first night of the draft or after he got the call that we were taking him, you kind of saw some of that competitive fire come out. So you feel good about him coming in and, being the best teammate he can be and competing for us.
And when it comes to now that quarterback's room, Ran, you've got Ryan Tannehill, who Mike Vrabel this past weekend said is the number one right now, followed by Malik Willis. And then you've got Will Levis, who has every chance to do what he needs to do to be that guy in the future. How do you see this all working in terms of just pushing each other? And what do you see that like as competition this fall?
The one thing Coach Vrabel has, been consistent about in his message to the team is that you earn it on the grass. Regardless of draft status, regardless of how, you got here, you earn it on the grass. So, those guys, and just like any other position, if you're a good player and you come out and you work your behind off, your assignment, and you show it on the field, you'll get the opportunity to play. So, again, it's going to all be determined by those guys.
There was a great pick in terms of this show, at least. We've been following a lot of running back Tajay Spears because we were also down at the Senior Bowl where we had you on our show. And I know you guys kind of got a chance to meet him at the Senior Bowl and follow him from then on in terms of the draft process. But what was it about him that really you said, we've got to have him here, he's a good fit in that running backs room?
Well, we felt like Tajay was a three-down runner that can, not only run the ball and, give you production there, but he was really good in the passing game. And he's tough in terms of pass protection, and you saw that at the Senior Bowl. You saw his progression and how he got better each day in terms of the pass pro drills throughout the week. So it showed his ability to, be able to improve in just a short amount of time. But again, it goes back to when we brought him in on a visit, and I remember Mike and I having him here in the office and just talking to him about non-football, talking to him about life and getting to know the person. Like, you felt really good about, him as a young man, that shows some level of maturity and understood who he was and who he wasn't in the areas that he needed to improve. So it just really encouraged you about, having him grow up here as a Titan.
And real quick, Rand, just about the health is always a thing in the last two seasons with, fans and just questioning that. And so you guys felt comfortable, too, with just his health and those knees and everything?
Yeah, so before we ever entered the draft process, we have the medical meeting with our medical team, and it's not only our head trainer Todd, but it's our team doctors as well. So we knew we know the nature of his knee and the prognosis and what it means for his future. But more than anything, Tajay knows his own plan. He knows what it takes to get him ready to play, and I think he's shown over the last couple of years that whatever it is or isn't with the knee, that he knows what it takes to play, and he's played.
Rand, when it comes to taking a quarterback in the second round like Will Levis, and you also having Ryan Tannehill on the roster too, do you lean on your time as a player? You and Vrabel both playing at this level. Lean on your time as a player to say, you know what? Even if the masses don't agree with what we got going on, we know what this process is like. What is it like inside the building for you and Vrabel as far as picking them?
Well, for us, man, Ramon, I was waiting on the O-line talk with you, but I
was. Always. Well, you know how it goes.
You're getting fancy now. You want to talk quarterback?
Fancy.
I got that queued up, man. You know how this league goes. The quarterbacks always take over, man. We just protect and go.
No, I'll say this about and again, it's led by coach in terms of the competition for the guys. Like, it's our job to continue to look for good football players to add and create competition at every position. Like you said, this is a quarterback-driven league, and realistically, it's almost like how we talk about offensive linemen. You could never have enough. You could never have enough pass rushers. And so, I really lean on my experience coming from San Francisco this last year, where if we did not have three quarterbacks, going into the season, who knows what our season would have looked like, and so, but also with adding a guy like Ryan, it's trusting your board and understanding the value of, players and positions, and knowing that he was a guy that was, highly coveted on our board and highly thought of, and he was just there in the second and gave us opportunity to get him.
And to that point, too, the offensive line, Peter Skoronski. How easy is it to pick a guy like that whenever they fall? Like, he's a top 3 guy we had this entire draft process. Were you shocked that he fell that way? And not only that, the Jalen Duncan pick, too. You guys have created a culture inside of that room now that screams competition across the board for everybody. Was that the purpose of those 2 picks?
Well, let's start with Peter. Peter was a guy, like you said, everyone knows the level of player that he is, and he was a guy, again, we didn't think would be there. One that we liked from the very start of the process, and but didn't think he would be there. And as it started to take shape, it was he stood out when you're looking at your board, not only vertically but horizontally. Where he was placed, it stood out, and so we were fortunate to be able to get him. And then a guy like Jalen. Jalen has all the traits and physical skills to be a productive player, in this league. And once we brought him in here for a 30 visit, he had an incredible visit with us, and that really encouraged us about who he is as a person. So he's a guy that we're really excited about, working with on and off the field.
He's kind of come out and say, he's not really played guard a whole lot. You look at the Dillard signing earlier this offseason, too. Do you kind of look at that and say, we got 2 guys that are super flexible with their transition into this NFL? Do you kind of consider him going to left tackle or guard first when it comes to Skoronski?
In terms of Skoronski, I think ultimately he'll determine that.
Okay.
Whether you turn the card in as a tight end, you know what I mean? Like, again, he's versatile, and we have other guys on our team that are versatile that, hopefully will give us the opportunity to just put our best 5 on the field instead of lumping guys in one particular way. They're versatile in that they have experience, whether it's guys playing both tackles or guys playing, guard and tackle, or say a guy like Brunskill that's played all 5. It'll allow us just to put our best 5 on the field.
Titans General Manager Rand Carthon, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Rand, what other ways do you see your team addressing the wide receiver position and the need you have there moving forward this offseason?
Well, it's the offseason isn't over. Our 53-man roster doesn't have to be set until September. So we'll continue to, look to address that. Again, we're in practically the third phase of player acquisition. It was free agency first and now the draft, and then now we have, other leagues coming to the end of their years. And, there are going to be these waiver wires coming up because as teams are adding players, they have to be compliant with the 90-man roster rules, and so people are going to get cut. So, we're going to continue to work to not only improve, at the wide receiver room, but just our team as a whole. But, it just requires patience from everybody. It required, patience from the players we didn't take in free agency or the players that we didn't take, in the draft. Like, it doesn't mean that it's over. We just got to, continue to be patient and allow this whole process to take shape. We don't have to get down to 53 until September.
So, Rand, on the note of patience in that conversation, what is your message today to the fan that maybe is frustrated with one or two or however many of the picks over the weekend? What's kind of your message to that season ticket holder or fan that maybe has orange tinted glasses sometimes and and may not be as big of a fan of some of the picks specifically?
Well, I mean, I'll say this. I'm not on social media, so I don't, see those things that are being said. My focus is, again, constantly looking to improve this team every day and just know that we're working, and again, it's not a finished product. We're not playing Sunday. We're not playing today or Thursday. So like I said, it's the process and player acquisition isn't over, and so we're always diligently working to find the best, football players to bring to this team, and it's just a patient approach.
Sorry, Rand.
I'm sorry. Go
ahead.
You
go. I cut you off.
No, I'm good. It's your turn.
No, I was curious because and it's a good message because, like you said, you're not on social media. We're here in radio, and so you hear a lot of the people that are out there, and everybody's going to have their opinions. An opinion that I think a lot of us have with the 7th round pick was Tennessee Martin wide receiver Colton Dowell. I mean, just talk about this guy. What a story for him to be, able to stay here and get a chance with you guys. Like, what did you see out of him that made you think, okay, 7th round, there's some value here?
No, he's a good football player. He's a strong-built guy. And we just saw improvement from the time that you watched his tape, and some things that you may thought that he could have worked on. And then we got him here for our local day, and just through his work with our wide receiver coach, Rob, you saw improvement on things just in the drill work in the, 15, 20 minutes that he had to work on the field with Rob. And so you felt good about it, and after, taking the pick and taking him, I probably got about either 6 texts, I'll say 6 texts and phone calls from teams around the league, saying that either that was the guy our head coach coveted, or that was a guy that they thought was that they were going to be able to take in the 7th. And so, it just shows that he was well thought of, in that round. And I just think, the guy's a good football player, and I think he's going to be able to provide us with some 4-down value.
When we look at these draft picks, all offensive, which I'm very proud of, okay?
There he is.
But was this a situation which you described to us earlier where you guys' board and analytics say, you know what, his overall score is better than a defensive guy that we're possibly looking at? Was that the case, or is it, let's get a younger, faster, more interesting style of offense here for the Tennessee Titans moving forward?
It was really just the way the board came and took shape. It's we read the board like you read a page in a book. You're reading from left to right, and as you look across, because you rank the guys vertical and then you rank them horizontal, and as you're looking and guys are standing out, you want to trust your board and trust, with the work that your scouts and coaches have done to evaluate these guys, and it's just the way the board just took shape this year.
Titans GM Rand Carthon with us on 104.5 The Zone. And Rand, on the way out, really high marks in the relative athletic score for a lot of the guys you took and guys that are just athletes at every position on that offensive side of the football. How big of a point of emphasis is that for you all, specifically when you have a coach like Mike Vrabel, to just give him as athletic of a roster as possible for him to mold as a coach?
Well, personally think Coach Vrabel is, one of the best coaches in the league, and I felt that prior to me coming here. I felt that years ago, and when you have a coach like him, a coach that can, do things schematically to put his players in the best position, it's our job, as a whole to just be tasked with bringing in the most athletic and, best football players we can to help, continue to help him in terms of his game plan. And so that's the piece that we add from the personnel side. But, you always want to add as many athletes to the team as possible. As you guys know, from if you're looking at the offensive line guys that we brought in, the defensive line is now probably one of the most athletic positions in our league. And so you got to be able to stay in front of those guys. And, these corners are getting taller and longer, so you want to continue to improve, at that position. And, and then when you think about the greatest position ever created and walking this earth, the running back position.
Oh, yeah.
You always want to have, athletes there. So, this league as a whole just gets more and more athletic, every year, and you have to be able to keep pace with that.
Rand, you're sounding like the Titans way right there between Chris Johnson, Eddie George, and Derrick Henry talking about the best position, the running back position. I just know Ramon Foster is heartbroken you didn't say right guard.
Well, I mean, Ramon knows.
Come on,
we as running backs, we help make those right guards right.
That's right.
And we show the love to the big fellas. We take care of them, and he knows. Because trust me, at some point in Ramon's life, whether it was Little League, Church League, PAL League, he wanted to carry the ball.
Exactly.
So. See, that's the problem right there, Rand. Come on, man. Look. You're better than this, okay? That's all I got to tell you.
This is why Rand's so close with George Foster, by the way, right here.
Yeah, it is, because he run into the backs of offensive linemen. That's what he do. But
I never ran up the back of the offensive lineman unless it was 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and we just needed that yard. That's just the surge. That's what we do.
You know what, Rand? I was in a space to do my impression of you, but I really,
really?
I don't know if I'm ready for it right now, man.
No, let's go.
Please, Rand.
You set the table.
Yeah,
have you heard about this? Are the streets talking about the Ram Foster? Is that what we're calling this? I don't know what we're calling this.
The Rand.
I need to hear this. Let's go.
So I talked to Ryan Tannehill earlier this offseason. My conversation with Ryan Tannehill is that he's our quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, and I'm his quarterback of this franchise, and we believe in the Titans. So I'm telling you, he's here because he's under contract. That's you ran in the earful, man. The cadence is there. I'm a little off, but it's been a running joke on here. It's like, man, Ryan sound like me talking when I'm talking about this is Ryan Tannehill of the Tennessee Titans, and he's under contract. And Ryan know where he stands with us, and I with him in this Tennessee Titans fan base. I'm telling you, man.
I'll say this, big fella, when I see you, it's on site.
Yes!
I won't be wearing Crocs then.
Yeah.
So there is Rand Carthon with us here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, and we react to that one final time on the other side. One final call for phone calls as well at 615-737-1045. Here's we wrap up the show on 104.5 The Zone. One final segment this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. No more tears, Titans fans. It's over. It's done with. Will Levis is your quarterback. One of your quarterbacks.
One of three.
Ramon Foster, Kayla Henderson, Will Bowling with you. 615-737-1045. Let's get to Alvin in Nashville before we get out of here this morning. What's up, Alvin?
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing?
Great.
Good.
Hey, Ramon. Hey, when they pick Levis, I thought about your fraternity brother when he intercepted the ball. I started thinking about that song. Oh no!
Oh no!
Man, that's the first thing I thought about. I said, oh man. But hey, he's a Titan. It is what it is. My problem is like what was we ranked last year in scoring? Do y'all know offhand?
And scoring?
So that's 17.5 points per game.
Yeah.
Towards the bottom.
Yeah.
So basically
28.
last, right?
28.
So last, right? Okay, so
almost.
We running a wing T. We're gonna run the wing T offense.
Be
what
fun.
we gonna do? Because I look at it. We got no receivers, and we still at the point where we're in the Jeff Fisher days. This is the fans' problem. We're still in the Jeff Fisher days. We're not going nowhere. So my question to you guys is this: I have two-part questions. Has the clock started for Vrabel since they got Will Levis? And did J-Rob make it so bad where they basically had to just break down and just start from scratch? And I'll just hang up and listen to this.
Thank you, Alvin.
Oh, no.
Oh.
That was basically what Alvin
my.
was thinking when Will Levis was drafted. Has the clock started on Malik Willis? The clock started on Malik Willis when Josh Dobbs was signed and started. The clock started on Malik Willis when he lost to the Houston Texans at home on Christmas Eve. So the clock is now stopped. No, the clock is stopped. It's over for Malik Willis as a Tennessee Titan.
He's officially still here. Excuse me.
Alvin asked a good question to us towards the end about this roster so jacked up that this is just where you at in the rebuild aspect of it. Well, you brought up a very, 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 very good point to us off air. You want to drop that real quick? I talk about options.
I don't know which one
you're talking about options. 5th-year options.
Yeah. Do you think the Titans will pick up Isaiah Wilson's 5th-year option today?
Because that's a real question that should be asked today.
Or Caleb Farley's this time next year?
Yeah. To the point of the roster and to the point of management, where you are, I don't even want to make this excuse for the Titans fan base or for their front office or coaches or anything. But is this roster so beaten up that this is the picks that you have to make?
So here you go. We mentioned this earlier. The best time to grade a draft class is 3 years later.
3 years later.
Let's do it.
Go ahead.
Isaiah Wilson, pick 29.
F
minus even.
Yeah.
Nathaniel.
Christian Fulton at pick 61.
I give that a B plus, A minus.
I would give it a B.
Yeah.
A B. Darrington Evans, pick 93.
D minus.
I'd give it a D.
Yeah.
Laurel Murchison, pick 174.
Got to be an F at this point.
Laurel
Murchison?
He's played a couple of years.
You're right. Never mind.
No.
Did he leave?
He didn't make the team last year.
Yeah, okay.
I'd say B minus.
That's a
What
C
round?
plus, B minus.
C plus.
Fourth?
Fifth.
Yeah, he's a fifth.
Yeah, okay. All right, see. That's fair.
Cole McDonald, pick 224.
Oh, God. F minus?
I think that's like a D. 7th round pick. I mean,
did he even report?
Whoa.
He never even made the roster.
No. He got cut during camp.
Oh, I know. He's a 7th round pick.
That's F.
But that's still an F.
I give it a D.
We're
They couldn't
praising
even keep him on the
a
roster for the
7th rounder
start.
right now as it stands.
What do you mean?
For this year. We like the Colton pick this year as it stands.
I mean, so far, we
just
don't really know much about
right.
him.
Okay, so I give it an F still.
Okay, I'll give it like a D. Chris Jackson, B plus.
Yeah, give it a B plus.
That's a B. Yeah.
What was it, Chris Jackson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been fine for a 7th round
he's
pick.
been
He's been
good.
great.
For being
Played-
a depth
Yeah.
player? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's played
I'd say
24
B plus.
games in the NFL.
Right.
That's only 5 less than Murchison.
Mm-hmm.
Draft class as a whole, 2020 Titans draft class.
D minus.
It's a
Because
D.
the first one crashed out so quick.
I'm giving it a D.
D plus.
Yeah.
That's bad. It's not good.
You asked that question about
Really not good.
Isaiah Wilson offline. I was like, you are 100% correct because you ain't got to chase offensive linemen for years to come if it wasn't for that
And
one pick.
look at how far it put you back, like you just said.
Yeah.
Because what were they doing in this draft?
Chasing OL.
Yes.
Let's do 2021 then. Caleb Farley at 22.
D.
A D because of his health.
It's an F.
Dylan Radins at 53.
D.
D.
I agree. Monty Rice at 92.
Oh, B plus.
Give it a C. So
I'd give it a C
B
also.
minus.
B plus.
Elijah Molden at 100.
C plus.
If he didn't get
C
hurt,
plus, I
it'd be
agree.
more.
C
So,
plus
yeah,
if it
C
wasn't
plus.
injuries.
C.
Des Fitzpatrick at 109 is an F.
F.
Rashad Weaver at 135 is an
Been
A.
great.
I get at an
Yeah.
A.
A minus.
Racy McMath at 205.
Still to be determined.
C.
C.
I love you, Caleb.
And Brady Breeze at 250.
Whoop. There's
Is-
another F.
Again,
C.
I'm not going to
F.
say F for a guy that's a
Yeah,
late 6th round pick.
D.
That one I'd say D.
D. Because he stayed on the team a bit.
So if you're asking why the Titans are taking a 3rd round running back, go back to the pick that we gave an F in Darrington Evans.
Yep.
When you consistently miss on picks like that, you have to try again and replace them with cheap options who aren't free agents because you're paying a running back a lot of money, a defensive lineman a lot of money, and a quarterback the biggest cap hit in the NFL.
Woo.
Again, the Spears pick is not the problem.
Nope.
Spears pick is not the problem.
Yeah.
Good stuff today with Rand Carthon. Great stuff as well with Mike Tanier. And a fun show. Appreciate all the interaction with which we expect in a very entertaining offseason here in Nashville, Tennessee. Ramon Foster sends you home here on this Monday show.
Please remember, the Titans don't really read your tweets, but your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.
Wave
baby.
to the camera, everybody.